I don't consent.
to what this conversation about transfers. Dave, it's your favorite topic. You love talking about the transfer window because it's what
It's
everyone does.
it's not really like not really a transfer window, is it? It's the Todd Boehly show.
It was the Todd Boehly show, yes, with
Yeah.
friends.
It's and
Yeah,
also like it's not even really the Todd Boehly show. I mean, like it was for the most part the Todd Boehly show, but like I'm like there was a colorful cast of side characters to this one. Like, like it's not as if he was like the one lone beacon of fucking lunacy in this quagmire of money and
No, true.
more lunacy. Like there were other
it
people
was
who were
very
going
strange, wasn't
properly.
it? Yeah, it
There
was
are
a
other
very
people
strange
going
window for
properly
a lot of
pissed.
people, and like we're gonna get into it because we're gonna go through the full league and kind of ourselves as it were a grade because again that's what all YouTube football shows do. They give grades because they can't
I tell you what though,
personify
it's
anything else but grades.
as
Everything is a grade.
far as far as the Premier League goes, it's probably been the actual busiest one.
I say busiest, but again, I can't say that a lot of
Look,
teams have done well. It's strange. There's been a lot of movement, a lot of stuff happening, but I can't say many teams have improved. But you know what? We'll get to it when we get to our club. So we'll start off with we're going to go from the top of the table all the way down to I suppose the part of the the two parts of the table that kind of need signings. The top for title challenges and for the bottom to save yourself from financial oblivion. I'm looking at you, Everton. So let's start off then with the Arsenal. So obviously, Neil, you might be quite happy with your business from January. You've got 3 in, 3 out, according to my sources here. So the first one being Leandro Trossard, which was a fairly relatively cut price deal from Brighton. Then you got
Yeah, well,
Kiriardi
he pretty much torched his bridges there. So, like, you know,
Hmm.
we snagged him when he was still pissing on the ashes. So, like, yeah, we were gonna.
Yeah. Then you signed Jakub Kirior, who again highly rated, can kind of play in that kind of like centre back come central defense the central midfield position. Comes in a good price, good ceiling for him as well. And then you got Jorginho, who was an actual transfer deadline day signing from Chelsea. Didn't come quite out of the blue in fairness, because I do recall this coming up the last 2 transfer windows as well, where Arsenal were very interested.
Yeah, apparently Mikel has been trying to. Sorry, Mikel, I get a fucking know him. Apparently Arteta have been trying to snag him since 2020.
Yeah,
Um,
supposedly so. Yeah.
and even the player himself has said like it wasn't that it didn't happen because not because I didn't want to go. I think it was mostly because Chelsea were like, we're not selling you to those guys.
Mm.
So well, anyways, that was it. And like there's loads of videos going around the fucking internet and all of like I think the biggest one going around is of when we drew 2-2 with them last season, I think, and like Arteta is like walking off the pitch with him like under his arm, like congratulating him, like, you know, going, you know, waffling on to Jorginho, you know, a member from the opposite team, like,
Yeah.
so people are like, oh no, Arteta's always loved him, you know, so yeah.
There's always spies in the camp, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
I think 12 million for Jorginho is probably going to be not just a steal of the January transfer window. I think it's going to be one of the steals of the season.
See, here's the funny thing. It's a transfer. Now, I'm not annoyed about it. I'm trying to get over I'm trying to get over my previous kind of repressed trauma from the last 30 plus year olds that we've signed from Chelsea. Because every time we've done it in the past, it's always, well, maybe Petr Cech wasn't a
Cherkos was probably the
favorite.
best of the 3, and
You
that's
know,
saying a lot,
yeah, that's saying a lot. Like, you know, he wasn't a failure, but he wasn't excellent either. You know, fucking. And then you get to like David Luiz. I mean, like when your biggest mark on a team is setting a league record for red cards, that's not the best thing. And then
Willian.
the less said about Willian, the fucking better. You know, I mean, like literally a player that Arteta walked up to and went, "Look, just go, just go. That's the door. Go. Just go. Just go. You know." So yeah, but I'm not pissing all over this because previous Arteta transfers that I have gone, I don't think this is gonna work. And as it turns out, I was like, yeah, that definitely fucking worked.
Yeah.
He's basically spent years proving people monstrously wrong when they've tried to judge him ahead of any results. So this is that's definitely a transfer that this is actually our entire transfer window in January is definitely one that is going to be judged in May. If like there's an open bus parade through fucking Islington with us with the Premier League trophy, we'll look back in this January transfer and go, hey, top bollocks, you. If not, it'll be a wee bit harsher.
Yeah, like you haven't necessarily lost anyone permanently either. You've like most of your departures have been loan outs. So
they've all been loan outs. I mean,
Yeah.
we've sold off one academy player back to the club we got him from. But yeah, there's something like 10 loans that went out.
Yes.
To add to the other vast loan army that we've gone out. All of whom, by the way, are doing fucking excellently.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I think
to come back in the scene.
as of just right now, Folarin Balogun has just become the Ligue 1 top scorer after smashing home a hat trick against Lorient. So the top scorer in Ligue 1, a league with Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi. The top scorer is an Arsenal loanee in that league.
Magic of La Ligue.
The Magic of Ligue 1.
Ligue 1.
Nuno Tavares is doing really well there as well. So it's really great. It's going really good. It's going really well for our loan players. So yeah, everybody's going out on loan, and it'll all be consolidated come the summer. We got Marquinhos out on loan to Norwich. That'd be great for him if they play him. That'd be wonderful.
I get the feeling they would. They kind of need to get their shit together and get promoted. So
yeah,
Lokonga out to Palace.
Yeah, we got Lokonga out to Palace. Hopefully, they've got a manager who knows a thing or two about playing in central midfield. Hopefully,
do you think that was a bit of a brave call considering El Nene and Partey getting injured, or is Jorginho going to be
even when El Nene or Partey are injured, we don't call on Lokonga.
Yeah,
like he's averaged less than he's not even gotten 200 minutes across this league in the league this season, and like we've had injuries in that position. And he doesn't.
Not even for Europa League or anything like that. No.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe I think we had a dead rubber one time. No, we didn't even have a dead rubber in the Europa League, so we barely got a game then.
Yeah.
So in the Europa League, we fielded El Neni. Like we didn't field him.
Fair enough.
Same with Cedric, who's deadline day we got out the door. Like Cedric hasn't even hit 100 minutes this season, and we've had injuries in that department. So there are two people who like Cedric was a short-term cover that we did a couple seasons back. So like he can leave for nothing. He can fuck off. I don't really care what happens to him. Fair play to him. Like he was the cover that we needed when we needed it. Great. Good luck to you in your future endeavors. Lokonga is playing for his future at Arsenal. If this loan deal doesn't go right, he's fucked. He's out the door. We'll literally take 10 bob and a pickled egg for him. And Marquinhos as well. He's looking to play himself into the first team.
Yeah,
so that it's good.
He's going to compete with Pepe next season, really, isn't he? Because of the same mold.
Pepe's done. I think Pepe's done at Arsenal. I don't think.
No, he's enjoying it too much. At least I think he'll stay there.
Yeah.
I think he's enjoying his football. He's scoring goals. He's getting assists. He's doing well in Ligue 1. So I mean, for him, I don't know why he'd come back. To be honest, I think he'll leave on a permanent deal.
Yeah, same here. I think a lot of the summer will just be us turning around to these going, wouldn't it be great to have him all the time? And so I reckon that's it. But yeah, again,
grade wise, how would you rate your clubs for results in the transfer window? Do you think you got a good haul enough to sustain the title challenge?
Well, to be honest with you, like we didn't need to really improve our first team. Like our starting 11 on their day has shown that it can beat literally anybody.
Just needed to improve the depth.
It's just depth. This is all about building a bench. And for whatever saying like, oh, we went for a plan B when we failed to land Caicedo or Mudryk. I was like, this entire team is filled with plan Bs, and they're top of the fucking league with 50 points. They're on course for a 100-point haul. We only have Ramsdale because we couldn't get David Raya. We only have Ben White because we couldn't get Jules Koundé.
Yeah.
We only have, I think.
We only have saying that actually that the team the second choice for Arteta have actually been better overall, isn't it?
Yeah, we only have Gabriel Jesus because we couldn't get fucking Vlahovic.
True.
You know, like I was like, who would say all of these are bad? We only got Zinchenko because we couldn't get fucking somebody else as well. Who was it? Oh, Lisandro Martinez. He went to United. I'm like,
well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? I mean,
like
you could say they're a team of backups, but when in reality, like seeing the players that you've dodged, where they've gone, and how they've done, I think Arteta was more like, "Oh, we could go all out for you," but looking at the other clubs who are interested, and no, I think with Mudryk, I think genuinely, barring a miracle, I think he's fluffed it big time with his choice club, massively. I genuinely do.
Well, we'll get onto Chelsea a wee bit later and talk about how that fucking melting pot or freak show, however you want to term it,
just melting generally.
But in terms of I think I go with B plus, maybe A minus. You know, it was all about building a bench. It all depends on how Jorginho works out. If Jorginho, all right, how about this? It's a B if Jorginho kind of fluffs his lines and doesn't really do a whole lot. It's an A if Jorginho actually comes in and does what he can do. You know, which like stat wise, he's brought in basically just as cover for Partey, which we desperately need now. Now that El Neni done busted his ACL, and Arsenal are probably going to activate the plus 1 year on his contract. It depends. The discussions are in for that. But yeah, that's it. If Jorginho works out, it's an A. If he doesn't really work out, it's a B, maybe B minus. You know?
Okay. And Dave, would you be in line with Neil in that one, or do you think it's
no, I think he's dead right. Within this transfer window, I don't think Arteta's gone too mad. I think he's just made smart signings.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's made just shrewd signings. I think he's definitely his brain is 100% switched on because he knows he has a real chance to get Arsenal's first title in a long time.
Yeah,
so I think he wants to take it.
But, yeah.
So similar to Klopp at Liverpool, you know, he built something that he knew was going to give him a chance. He failed to win that year at City, you know, even though he finished on 97 points.
That was crazy.
Do you know what I mean? So he knew, right, I've got something. So the transfers he did make were in a similar kind of idea. He knows he has a chance, so he needs to make the transfers that are going to at least make it a severe possibility that they're going to win the league.
Yeah.
It all depends on the Jorginho one. Like the Jorginho one, I have to be sold on. Again, I'm not pissing on it, but like I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait and see. And if he works out, I'm like nobody will be happier. But then again, I'm not saying like all the piss that's being boiled online about signing Jorginho. And like, lads, like, come on, fucking has he not fucking at least earned the benefit of the doubt by now? You know, I think Arsenal Vision or Yankee Kuner, who runs the Arsenal Vision podcast, put it really well. He's like, getting angry in the middle of the best season this club has ever had in its entire history on our first proper title run for nearly 2 decades is a choice you don't have to make. You know, you're choosing to get angry about this. Why? You don't have to do this. You know, like, I wouldn't even mind if Jorginho doesn't work out. Trossard and Kiwior, they look great.
Yeah, like they're very good. Like Kiwior in particular, as I say, is coming in highly rated and also quite under the radar, and that's the kind of the signings you do want to actually make. Whereas Trossard is, again, there was a lot of people like drumming up interest, but in the end, Arsenal were the only ones that really were properly in for him in a sense.
I think it was a real strike while the iron is hot. I think it was kind of sort of a hang on, wait a minute, is this guy actually available? Is all the news about him pissing everybody off? Is that bullshit? Oh shit, it's not. All right then. Let's get the fucking cash up. Get the checkbook out. Edu, get the fuck over there. You know.
And he has to.
Like Trossard in particular and Jorginho were very much signings for this season. Whereas Kiwior, you could argue is like squad depth. You know,
a 21, 22-year-old centre back come number 6 because he was fielded mostly as a 6 by Spezia. Yeah, that's definitely one for the future. Like they're definitely ones for the future.
I mean, Arsenal, from an injury point of view as well, he has to also think, you know, he's got Smith Rowe coming back this week, potentially next week. He's got Jesus coming back the beginning of March. Already, that's 2 more people you can add to that bench. Obviously, you know, don't want to rush them back. So, from an overall point of view, I think Arsenal set themselves up nicely.
Yeah, they have. I'm actually willing to give them an A because I'm looking at the the rest of the league, and I can't really, until we actually probably do review one that's better on paper. I don't actually see a team that's actually done better than in the window, because a lot of clubs have either like made.
Hang on, wait a minute. You're forgetting the club that attempted to buy literally every player to have ever existed.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get to Chelsea. We'll get to them. Don't worry about them. Right? We'll handle them in a minute. But for the actual value for money is what I was going to say there.
Right there, yeah.
Those are the actual content of the business.
Not understand.
No, the content of the business. I think Arsenal have done the best work, because, as I said, all they needed to do was to make sensible signings,
stack the bench.
To stack the bench and to sustain the form that they're on now. Like, Trossard is inherently a squad player, but he's also someone that's going to clearly come in to goal and assist every now and then. Likewise with Jorginho. Jorginho will give that kind of, will give a bit of, will kind of temper that kind of expectation in the team. Because again, we forget that Jorginho is a player that's won everything. He's won every competition, including the European Championships. So as a player, he's very experienced, and he's a very level head and a very intelligent player. Clearly someone who Arteta quite likes in his own mold as well. Mm-hmm. So he I think he's almost like a better fit for Arsenal than he ever was at Chelsea, weirdly enough.
Well, see, that's the reason why I think he pulled the trigger on him, and why people think he's such a good fit for Arsenal. It's because Jorginho's best games and how he plays his best is as a lone six. He doesn't really do the double pivot thing very well, which is probably
Jorginho and Kante famously doesn't work at Chelsea.
Yeah, it doesn't really work tremendously well. The thing is that why I think everybody is saying that he suits Arsenal so well is because this incredible run of form, our title charge, is fueled partially by our reversion to a single pivot midfield, a lone six party, which allowed Xhaka to maraud upfield, making late runs in the box and causing generally fucking havoc in the opposition defense. And the thing is, people like CDMs who are lone sixes, sixes who are good on their own as a six, they're not, I'm not going to say unicorn players, but they're quite rare to find. The unicorn player is Thomas Partey, somebody who can do it to an elite tier level no matter what.
Yeah, you're talking about the kind of like Yaya Toure, Fernandinho kind of level.
Yeah. Fernandinho is the word I think of there.
Fernandinho, Jesus Christ, what a fucking player.
You could literally just plop him in midfield and he could just run the show.
That's it. And that's the thing about it. Like, I think of Chelsea important friend of mine when he was chatting away to me about this, and he's fucking fuming about this, by the way. He's like, that's it, lads, you've sewn it up. I was like, you want to slow your roll? He's like, no. But he's saying that when you play with Jorginho in your team, the game goes through Jorginho.
Yes.
That's the player he is. He dictates play, and that's the only way he really operates. Like, that make that sound bad, but it's not. It's just it's a very good thing. His distribution is brilliant under pressure. He's great, short range. He can spray the passes if he needs to, but that's not his game. His game is ping, 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 and
he's a metronome in the same way that a lot of teams do.
And he's just like, he's going to be pinging balls off to those fucking speedsters, Martinelli, Saka. He's going to be pinging them through to Odegaard. He's going to be running them on. All right, Jack is not the fastest, but he's a fucking good player. Like, he's definitely good now. Nketiah as well. He's like you've just got so much speed there, and he's going to be first timing balls like nobody's business. Then you combine in the fact he's going to be receiving incredible distribution from Ramsdale and from our centre backs. It's like it's literally just going to be just firing balls up. It's going to be like breakout the game. It's just bing, 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 and that's it. He goes, that's going to be fucking incredible to watch. He's like, I'm actually going to watch your next game. I'm going to sit down and watch it. And he goes, in particular because it's against Everton. I really want to see us absolutely tonk the fuck out of him. But I guess we'll get to that later.
Indeed, we will. But the consensus seems to be a B+, so we'll give Arsenal a B+ in our grades here. Move on then to their most obvious contender for the title, which is Manchester City. One arrival to speak of, and that would be Maxime Perrone from Villa Sarsfield, but he won't be in the first team immediately. They're doing an Alvarez did last year. He'll be on loan until the Argentine season's over, and then he'll integrate into the squad in the summer. But that doesn't tell the whole story, because the biggest outlay for Man City is the selling, and let's call it the spade of spade here. This is the sale of João Cancelo. He's gone to Bayern Munich. It is initially a loan, but there's an option to buy for 61 million. Now, again, you'd imagine that this may be an opportunity to do minutes here, but we all know Jadon Cancelo is perhaps one of the best players of the team. So
holy shit,
clearly,
one of the best players in the league, man. Holy, like
The biggest. Sorry, go on, Neil.
No, I just couldn't believe this. Even as I was reading the new official news report confirming that it was absolutely true, I was still like, nah, this is bullshit.
Yeah,
they got rid of Cancelo for 70 million euros. Like, the fuck? Like, what's going on?
What's even more baffling about this is that, like, clearly this is not something that they like. This is not something that the club would do, like in their own right, because, like, famously, the weak point of the Manchester City at the moment, squad wise, is their lack of fullbacks. You know, they only have one working left back, and the other one is currently waiting trial on a rape charge. So it's not as if they have many options.
Yeah. I don't think it definitely wasn't a plan that they sold both Cancelo and Zinchenko in the same season.
No.
No,
that was definitely not in the books.
The way I look at it is, no, I'm not surprised by this, and I'll explain why. When I heard Cancelo was going, I was like, yep, that makes perfect sense, because I think Pep, when he's not at the top of the league, when he's not in contention for the title and he sees a threat coming along, gets anxious. He takes it out on the nearest people to him, which is the squad. He's on the training pitch with them every day of the week.
Well, Cancelo wasn't playing recently. He said that was like, it wasn't a breakdown in relations with Pep. Now, obviously, this is official relations, so we can take it as the appropriate amount of sodium chloride as we can. But like, he said it was playing time, and that's kind of true. When you look back, he hadn't been starting recent games, had he?
But when you're one of the best players, as you said, in the league,
oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, and you're João Cancelo saying, why am I not getting a start? Clearly, Pep has a problem with him. Now, whether or not he's outspoken to Cancelo about that or not, you know, there was talk of a training ground bust up allegedly and all this.
Yeah,
I can tell you exactly where this. I can tell you exactly where this whole thing started. Weirdly enough,
WhatsApp.
That too.
That's where I got the story. Somebody pinged me the story. It's like, oh yeah, he squarely threw a ball at him or something like that.
No. I can actually tell you exactly where, like, Pep fell out in love with João Cancelo tactically, because there's certainly a change from the Liverpool game onwards, where Manchester City, to their credit, like they could have beaten us on that day. I can't remember, Dave. Was that at home or away? I felt like that was away. I can't recall.
Away at Man City, yeah.
Wasn't that away at Man? Yeah. So we still had to play him at Anfield this season. But the weird thing about it was that one goal that they conceded, the winning goal for Salah, was when Salah was able to mark Cancelo and turn him and break.
Oh yeah, because that was just a ping. Didn't Alisson just ping
it to Salah, and
Salah
first touch and turns Cancelo? Yeah,
he actually ended up with an assist for that, didn't he? He got the assist for
he
that,
did. Yeah. But
here's
the whole
my
thing
argument.
is the high risk that they played. You see, Cancelo was so high up that essentially he was playing almost like a right midfield, and that is the way Pep wants to play on both sides. But he also wants to play asymmetrically, where basically one right. Look, it's how Liverpool are doing this now as well. They will have one full back playing in that kind of like that pocket, and then the other full back will pin into the defense and make it a tree.
He'll invert.
Yeah, exactly. Now the difference with that is, though, and that's why also Kyle Walker now gets a nod, because he can do both. But the difference with that is that game against Liverpool was such a watershed moment, because for Cancelo to get turned so quickly and then to lose the goal, the game immediately. Whatever happens, whatever it is between Man City and Liverpool games, if Liverpool beat Man City, Pep Guardiola takes that really fucking personally. Yeah. And it doesn't matter. It could be the flukiest goal.
And it's his tactic that cost it. This is the thing, right? The inverted wing back tactic. I get Liverpool are doing it now. It's probably why Liverpool are fucking losing. But
it's very much so, yes.
Pep's playing the inverted wing back role. If you're going to play an inverted wing back role, then the high line that Cancelo plays, that can't be sustained on both sides. If you look at that goal, both fullbacks are pushed up.
Yeah.
So neither one of them are coming back.
Center circle almost.
Yeah. So I mean, this is Pep's tactics. So realistically, he's obviously thrown it and fucking threw him under the bus for it. When realistically, if you're setting your players up to do that, then it's on you. If a player's out of position, then it's on him.
Yeah, but that's also why he's brought Rico Lewis in, because Rico Lewis, who is like by design a fullback, and he's like predominantly meant to be a left back, but he's also doing that position where out of possession he goes into midfield and he makes the numbers up that way, and that's how Cancelo's lost his place. Because Kyle Walker does the same thing on the right hand side, but he slots into defense, and that's where he gets the
Kyle Walker was also on the tip list to leave for fucking Turkey.
Yeah.
Now, this was an official, announcement to say that they were in talks with Man City for Kyle Walker. So it's not like it was just a rumor that came from the papers. Like this was, legitimate possibility. So,
and this also one of the replace. Like he didn't replace Cancelo either.
None.
And that I found weird because he's got 2 players in that position. Rico Lewis, who we've already mentioned, who's 18.
Yeah.
He's an academy graduate.
Yeah, and the other player is Nathan Ake, and he left last summer.
And Ake is not a fullback. Yeah. He doesn't have the pace for it. He really doesn't.
I mean, what's going on here? Like,
City got rid of 6 players this transfer window, all of them on loan, obviously. The big one being Cancelo, but they've got nobody in.
I think that's nobody in. I think that's pretty much permanent. I don't see Bayern going, yeah, we're not gonna.
No, that's permanent. And you know what's funny? He's gonna fucking rip it up in that league.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because because Joshua Kimmich has famously been underperforming in that natural role. So now Cancelo comes in, he goes back into midfield, and Bayern have won everything again. Like, it's so bizarre because like Manchester City has spent this entire year strengthening their rivals. They've given two of their best squad players to Arsenal. They gave Raheem Sterling to Chelsea. Again, that could have worked out differently if that was the case. And then suddenly you're giving Bayern Munich the glorious opportunity to win the Champions League. The one competition you actively need to win to validate your pathetic sports washing enterprise. It's great. I love it. But is that like? I mean, I have to nuke them for the grade here because this is just like really bad squad planning in this sense.
It's not like they've not got the money, they have pretty much unlimited.
They have a lot of money.
They have all the money. They've got all.
I mean, if Chelsea are spunking 400 million in a January transfer window, this means in 1 year they could literally spend £1 billion in 2 transfer windows, right? Which I'm expecting it to reach that figure for one club.
Yeah,
but he has plenty of money, right? Why not go out if you don't like Cancelo and he's pissed you off? Go out, fucking find someone, bring someone in. In fact, they're missing 2 fullbacks that they need. Yeah. They need 2 fullbacks, right? They need at least 1 midfielder because let's face it, fucking that guy from Leeds, what's his name?
Calvin Phillips.
Calvin Phillips. Not gonna do it. Not gonna cut it.
He's decent at times when he plays. He just he can't keep it on all the time, and isn't he very injury prone now?
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, you brought him in. So
you could argue Bielsa burnt him out. Like you could make that argument.
Yeah, you could make the argument, but the bottom line is, if he looks burnt out, then Pep needs to bring somebody in. Now, I'm not saying he has to bring in a superstar name for 100 million quid, but realistically, this transfer window, they're out of the race as far as I'm concerned. They have not strengthened in the areas they need it, and they're going to keep leaking goals because
they've critically weakened themselves.
Yeah,
it's weak. It's a weak point now.
Now I don't know whether this is Pep's version of self-sabotage before leaving the summer. He's done it previously, so I don't know whether I think at Bayern Munich, he basically ran the club and he ran the team into the ground from an energy level point of view. It was training. Now he won titles and things like that, but he never got the big ones since Barcelona. He's never. I don't think he's won the Champions League.
No, he's not. Not since
Barca. So
no. That's been the thing. That's been the bugbear. That's why everybody keeps slagging him off. So he keeps bouncing to these highly moneyed clubs to win the Champions League again because he's in basically one horse leagues. But then every time he goes to the Champions League, he keeps getting beaten by Liverpool.
So the question is, if he's potentially out of City in the summer, which I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I can see it happening if he doesn't win anything. Where's he going to go? Who's going to bankroll him? Is he going to go to Al Nassr? Realistically, it's just, I think he's sabotaging himself because he's basically saying, look, if I'm not winning this, I'll take everyone down.
But that's where the baffling question is. It's like it's almost like he can't understand why his perfect system isn't working and why players don't.
He's always been like that.
And that's exactly it. That's always been the way. That's always been the way he operates, even as a player. I think at this stage. But like they put a grade on it. Like I have to give like these guys an F because
Oh, fucking total.
this
F,
is
man.
a
Like,
disaster.
absolutely.
This is a total disaster to the challenge for again like the Premier League. Like they might still win it because they have like overpowering, like massive firepower over their rivals.
One
But they actually have
one particularly massive piece of firepower.
yeah.
Well,
there's the
Now
thing.
he banked everything on Haaland. I
don't
guarantee
think,
you.
I don't think he did.
I don't think he doesn't like Haaland. He doesn't
We
like the
were
idea.
talking about we've done podcasts on this before, and I hate to say
Yeah.
this again, but when the Haaland to City thing were running in, we were like, why is he doing this? Pep doesn't play with centre forwards. He doesn't like centre forwards. He barely plays forwards full fucking stop. You know, he only wants to play midfielders, and he plays midfielders who are particularly good at shooting up front.
Foden,
That's it.
for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He only he does not do traditional centre forward play.
So what you're saying is the club could be he could be going kind of he could be at odds with City over potentially the transfers or
and they've got a huge millstone around their neck. I'm like, it would not surprise me if it came out to Haaland. Like Haaland's already one of the most well remunerated footballers in existence to have ever existed, and he's barely won anything. He's not really done anything except score boatloads of goals, but he's not won anything. It wouldn't surprise me if Haaland's contract is setting City back nearly £2 million a month.
I think it is, as far as
I mean, I think he's bankrupted of his goal bonus. I was going to say
his goal bonus.
I mean, let's face it, his goal bonus is probably a transfer
like
budget,
special like mad hat trick bonuses as well. I'm like, he'll have netted that 4 times already. Like, holy fuck! Like,
yeah. The thing is for City, I mean, he's got a 3-year contract, and his father came out at the start and said, well, "You will honor the 3-year contract, but I can't see him at City beyond 3 years." I was like, imagine your dad coming out and saying that, like. We're here for 3 years.
This is the dad who played at the club himself.
But his dad earns huge amounts of cash every time he moves. You know, so there's it's like it sounds like, well, I earned. I think the rumors like I think he got 10 million quid for Haaland going to City.
Yeah,
you know, and that's like he was like, yeah, if Haaland moves, that's another 10, 15, maybe 20 million quid. You know, Haaland sets more records, he goes to a different club. I'm like, in all fairness, I'm like, obviously, rumors abound. It's a rumor. But it's abound that he wants to be Barcelona's the club that I think it's in its contract that he has to say yes to. if Barca come knocking with a salary that I think would make Messi go, ooh, that's a little rich.
Well, with their financial problems as it is, I mean, it's going to take them a few years to be able to afford
that. That's a joke clause, surely.
Spin your wheels for 3 years at City. I'm like, they're not going to run out of cash. Oil is still quite valuable. I think, you know.
Last time I checked, it is quite valuable.
Yeah, last time I checked, I put my head out the window. Yeah, oil's still valuable. And that's just it. Spin your wheels there for 3 years while, you know, Barca somehow gets back on its feet.
Because Lewandowski's going to have to retire someday.
Exactly. That's just the thing. Just say, Robbie, stick around until the kid comes in, and then boom, you know, that's their
Man City, F.
Yep.
F.
Yep.
We're going with F for them. So we move on then to the team currently in third place, which is Newcastle. We haven't really spoken about that much, really, in the grand scheme of things on the podcast. Because they've been quite going around their business and so forth. But we'll talk about them there in terms of their transfer dealings. So their outgoings in this January window are mostly their squad players going out. So Chris Wood is going on loan to Nottingham Forest, and he was joined the day
literal Deadwood.
Yeah, the quite literal Deadwood. And he was also joined by then John Joe Shelby, who went on a permanent deal to Nottingham Forest.
An actual plank.
Yep. Well, in fairness, he was wanting to go to Besiktas, but apparently they couldn't get a hair replacement for him, so, which is a shame. Carl Darlow, then, who was one of their backup goalkeepers, now gone to Hull City on a
He's been there forever, to be fair. He's been there for a long time.
He's actually part of the furniture. Like.
Yeah, he was. Until Mike Ashley took it all with him at the end.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Including the mugs, especially.
I know. I bet you how raging would you be if you no longer have a giant Sports Direct mug in your fucking cupboard at St James Park? How pissed off would you? Nowhere else does them that big, but there you go.
I think it'd be just desserts considering that. I think when Mike Ashley but there was a change in the directorship during his reign, and famously, one of the Newcastle fans found a picture of Bobby Robson in a skip. like a framed picture of Robson with like the old school, like in a skip. It's like that is genuinely like going into the Liverpool into Melwood and like pissing on Kenny Dalglish statue. Like that's
Never mind pissing on Kenny Dalglish himself. He's still alive. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Alive,
Anyway, so
I don't think Kenny would stay still for long enough for you to get.
Don't
that.
think so.
Yeah.
No.
With Newcastle,
Yeah.
Newcastle, if you're talking transfer business, I'd say a C, maybe a D.
Yeah.
If you're talking, we're not talking league form here. We're going to the transfer window, but Anthony Gordon from Everton, expensive. Yeah. I mean, realistically, it is indulgence. Me, realistically, for someone who's only just gotten a name for himself, he's just kind of come onto the scene. He's not even like a regular at Everton for the most part.
He only scored like 3 goals, no assists.
Yeah,
and he was more famous for being just a shithouse dickhead.
So for me, 20 million would have even been a push.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gone past 20 million.
I don't know what. Now, obviously, Eddie Howe, I can't predict Eddie Howe as much as I can predict the fucking weather. This guy has blown away every expectation I had of a manager in the Premier League. And I looked at Eddie Howe at Bournemouth and thought he's doing really well there. He's keeping them up. He's doing all this. He's done really, really well for a club to have, a stadium with 11,000 spectators and feck all budget. Goes into Newcastle and realizes he's got a whole fucking country's state worth of a budget. And he's not gone mental. He's just done it based on how he wants to play football. Now, he's made a few acquisitions in the summer. I get that. He's brought in Alexander Isak, who's been fantastic. But the only player he's really brought in is Anthony Gordon this window. But that says he's got what he wants. He's shed the wage of Chris Wood, who'll probably be on 40, 50 grand. Same with, John Joe Shelby's probably on about 40, 45 grand. So he shed the wages there as well. So he's probably into a profit.
Yeah, you're saying that Chris Wood and John Joe Shelby, they're basically FFP departures, if you get me. Like, that club was there.
And so it's not like they're gonna go missing, it's not like they're gonna look at it and go, oh no, we've lost Chris Wood and John Joe Shelby. No.
Where's John Joe Shelby when we need him?
Like those are players that they want to get rid of anyway to make space for bigger signings next season.
And they signed a good backup to Trippier from West Ham.
Yeah, Harrison Ashby.
Yeah, they're like West Ham are like raging they've lost him.
A couple of million now. He didn't get that much
3 million.
cash from.
3 million.
Yeah.
3 million.
Jesus. The youth team. He's a youth team player. So like West Ham are hoping to kind of sit on him for a year and then bleed him into the first team. But
the same with Garan Kuol signed from Central Coast Mariners. So he's a young lad that they have highly rated as well. He's gone on loan to Hearts.
Yeah.
Great move for him. He'll get the exposure. Scottish football is fucking as hard as you're gonna get physically. So he's gonna be run through the ringer up there. If he can take that, he'll go back to Newcastle in the summer and go, if he's had a good time at Hearts, he's already done decent in his first couple of games. Eddie Howe will be looking at him and go, okay, good development. Now the next step, League Two, League One.
Like you can see the team, at least the forwards taking shape now because you have a choice. Like you have Wilson and Isaac, and depending on how like their injury rates go, if you have both of those players available, you're doing really well. And then you have Kuol and potentially Gordon as well. If you wanted to you wouldn't be using them centrally, you'd have him as a wide player, obviously. But Howe likes having the width there anyway. So you've got tons of options, and then you still have got St. Maximum and Joe Ellington, who seems to play.
Now, so Maximan's probably going to go in the summer.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah,
I thought he was going to go this window, to be honest. Yeah. But I think the biggest acquisition for them and the player who Eddie Howe's managed to turn into a superstar is probably Sven Botman.
Yeah, Botman's, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Unreal player. Been fantastic. Yeah. And I just
think... So how will we rate then Newcastle's
I'm going to say a C at the most, C-.
I'll go with C. Again, it's unfortunate it's another kind of dual sort of grading in that it's a C right now because quite frankly there's a huge unknown constant in Gordon.
Yeah. But they've made 2 good prospect purchases, which carries them up in my book. Otherwise, would have been a variable D.
That should have been. But in Gordon. So if Gordon works out, it'll be a B. Maybe B plus depending on how well he does. But for now, it's a C because I think they've overpaid for fucking average, even average. He's
a very average player. Like I think he is definitely one of those players that if I was to, embody the English tax as a concept, that's Anthony Gordon to me.
Absolutely, and he is
because
also
he's a homegrown player, but he's also like a homegrown Everton player, and that's apparently worth something in the market when it really isn't.
Newcastle have to think about that because you have to have a minimum of 7 English-born or trained by a club in England players registered to your squad.
And they would have let go of a couple in the summer and in the
John Joe Shelby is Welsh, isn't he?
No, he's English.
He's England. So
like
John Joe Shelby
and Hayden, so they're all gone as well. Like, so yeah, they need English players big time. Like Trippier is actually one to get them out of trouble with that regulation. So, and that's why they got Nick Pope as well. Then over any other goalkeeper choices too, kind of makes a decision.
But it's kind of worked out for him because Pope has been really fucking good for them.
Yeah,
he's the best. He's the best they could have gotten, to be fair. So yeah. We move on then to fourth place, then still currently in the Champions League positions. And currently in League Cup action as we're speaking is Manchester United. So the biggest, I suppose, bit of business was actually at the start of the window when they terminated Cristiano Ronaldo's contract. He's on to pastures new, or as we call them, Saudi Arabia, which is the retirement home of football.
It used to be the MLS.
Yeah, the Sandy Glue Factory.
Yeah, China was also available, but no, the borders are closed there because you might have the plague. Whereas Saudi Arabia are happy for you to look at their wonderful.
China ran out of money. China ran out of money, and then all of a sudden you weren't allowed more than 2 foreign players in your club because the money was going fucking down the drain.
How ironic!
40,000 people stadium was like 200 people.
Oscar being made a billionaire for just being Oscar. It's incredible.
Anyway,
other departures then would have been Martin Dubravka. His loan was cancelled. He went back to Newcastle. So we obviously were talking about Newcastle there. And just on deadline day, Axel Twanzebe going to Stoke on loan as again. This I think is fourth or fifth loan deal for Twanzebe.
Fifth, is it? Fifth loan deal. He's one of these players at United that came through the academy system. That he's one of these players that I think United want to see him make it almost, but he's been shipped out on loan so many times he might as well be playing for Chelsea. So
yeah, that's it.
I genuinely think Twanzebe, good defender, championship level.
Yeah, they so desperately want.
Don't you be smiling at me, Chelsea? Don't even talk to me about Chelsea.
They so desperately want him to succeed, but won't give him a shot. They're like, yeah, we've tried nothing, and we're all out of ideas with you.
That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. But in terms of arrivals, then, so they start off with the Dubravka chain, and they get Jack Butland in as cover for De Gea. Again, he was doing the same thing at Crystal Palace. So it was all the one really, but yeah, mostly loan deals actually for United in this window.
All loan deals.
Yeah, all loan deals. Yeah, but Weghorst coming in from technically Burnley, but he was at Besiktas in his previous assignment.
Weghorst,
yeah,
was basically, I don't think Ten Hag had enough Dutch people around.
He needed one. He needed friends.
I think he was genuinely like, Manchester's not Dutch enough. I need another like.
Nobody else here appreciates mayonnaise the way I do.
Do you know what I mean? Like, who am I going to go to dinner with on a Saturday? Weghorst. I already know him. I've dealt with him. And
they can just sit there and eat chips and mayonnaise all the time.
Weghorst has gotten drunk in my windmill. He'll be fine.
Fuck yeah.
You know what
that
I mean?
sounds like a massive euphemism there, by the way, and I really appreciate it.
You can appreciate a good clog.
Oh yeah, you heard about your man Weghorst. He got drunk in a windmill, if you know what I mean.
All up in the tulips.
Oh, was he sitting on top of it? The fucking lanky prick.
He is unnecessarily long, isn't he?
He is very long.
And then you have Marcel Sabitzer, who realistically, good player.
FIFA favourite.
I genuinely think he's gone to United to try and get game time. And Fred will probably play more.
Well, didn't they only really push the boat out for Sabitzer because, as it turns out, Andy Carroll also goes to the same school of tackling that Fabinho goes to. As like, when
it's called the Peter Crouch School of Awkward Bastards. That's what it's called.
Sort of. I just kind of think like, when he was fucking free willied by Andy Carroll, and that's the Simpsons Free Willy, by the way.
Okay, right. I was going to say, there's different context there.
Yeah. I think when he just got his ankles crushed So that's why they went, oh fuck. So yeah, that's it. So
Yeah.
I just
Overall, I'd say I think that the best bit of this they did was getting rid of that fucking Arsenal Ronaldo. It's actually done so much better for their team.
No, you like
it's really
every
good
club
don't call back.
Every club really needs a no dickheads policy, and I think you can see how it worked out at Arsenal, when Arteta went in and went, I'm actually the only cunt around here. Okay. I'm the manager, I'm allowed to be a cunt. None of you can be. Right, all of you's out.
Yeah.
And just clear out everything. And just you're gonna have to do that eventually. So yeah, I think the best bit of business was getting rid of Ronaldo, who was an immensely toxic thing. But I was amazed that it spent just no money really. I was absolutely baffled. I mean,
it's probably because you can't. I don't think you can spend too much when the owners are looking to sell.
But that's the thing. Like, if you're looking to sell something and you want to make it good, you do put a bit of money into it. Like,
look what happened to Sunderland. The owner wanted to sell the club. He pulled all the funding in the middle of a window.
Yeah, and
it does happen if you try to sell a club.
No, I know what happens, but I'm just saying it's nonsensical. I'm simply saying, like, if you're trying to sell your house, I think I was watching Mark Goldbridge, and he made this point. It's like, if you're looking to sell your house, you put a bit of money into it. Like, you clean up. If your kitchen's a bit run down, you put a bit of money in and tidy it up. You don't just leave it.
Make it a more marketable asset.
Yeah. You put a bit of cash into it. Like, they're not putting cash into Old Trafford. It's fucking ruin. Basically. So, like, all right, then fine. If you're not going to put money into the stadium for some weird, ungodly reason, put money into the fucking team. Spend a bit of cash. Like, I don't understand why they spent nothing. Like, they spend nothing. Like, if they were like, right, we'll restrict the spending. We're not going to go fucking crazy. Arsenal aren't going mental with the checkbook, and they're doing pretty okay, so we won't do the same thing. But they haven't spent anything. That's insane to me. That is insane, particularly with the gaping holes in that fucking team. Like, that team needs it needs more than a band-aid. It needs some patching up, and the players.
Well, would they argue as well that like at this stage they're currently sitting fourth in the Premier League, and going by the form of their rivals around them, they are still a fairly decent chance of fourth place.
They balanced out.
The table position has never really managed. The table position has never really bothered Manchester United. Like, they signed guys like Gimps, like Anthony, for fucking 80 million quid, and they were in the Europa League. Like,
true, very true.
Position has never really. Manchester United have been one of those infuriating teams that they've always been able to sell high grade players, no matter where they are in the fucking table, because they've always been able to offer huge wages. So just fucking.
I genuinely think that the Glazers have pulled. United.
I believe it. I believe you when you say that. It's just I'm arguing against it because it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. I would have thought United to bring in at least 2 high grade players. And I was actually looking at Serie A. I was actually looking at Tomori as one of these players that could come in and do a job for United.
Like, exactly.
One of these players that could cost them 60 million, but
fucking, I'm absolutely with you on that. Like, Serie A is just filled with teams that are got great players.
And he's an English player. You would have ticked another box for them as well, having an English registered player.
Just awash with teams with great players, and they're all distressed sellers. This Juve dealing, right? That's a domino. That's going to tip down.
Berardi was another one that just couldn't get over the line for anyone.
Exactly.
Vlahovic should be at Arsenal this summer, I think, because of the way Juve are going. I don't see him there, but
I don't see us signing Vlahovic now that we got Jesus and Nketiah's ripping up trees now. True. I don't see us getting Vlahovic in now.
For United, purely on the Ronaldo side of things, I would say B-, C+. The signings don't make sense.
Yeah,
so.
I'll go with the C+ purely off the fact that you got rid of a huge toxic influence
and £500,000 wages a week.
Fuck me. More than that.
The question on Man United then is: are they still the highest marketable club in the world?
No, I think they were knocked off top spot again.
Yeah, they're off the rich list. They're off the rich list. Actually, Liverpool are the most marketable in England now. Yeah.
So then you'd have to question whether or not the Glazers were only using money that came in from shirt sales and marketing, rather than gate income, rather than anything else.
Oh yeah, they made 270 million in 24 hours. They made off Ronaldo. since he put pen to paper. The stock went up. They made 270 million.
Yeah. Oh, he was pure marketing decision. He wasn't anything else.
Shirt sales.
I mean, aside from him, you'd have to wonder whether or not they went, okay, your budget for any transfers is this.
Yeah.
Oh, like previous to this season. And it's purely from the marketing budget.
Yeah, it makes sense because
from the profits rather.
It makes sense, yeah, because they often do
because they're not selling because they want to sell.
Yeah,
they don't want to divvy out any money.
Yeah, because that's always been their policy over the years. They always tend to get the biggest name. They get whatever has like a bit of like traction.
Decisions.
Yeah,
they're not treating it like a football club.
No, they don't. Like
that's why I was
Cavani and all them. Like
that's why I'm adamant that they're gonna go all out for Bellingham in the summer.
Because they would do. They make sense. Like you want to be in the conversation at the very least. But like I said, like this is United trying to come in with the overwhelm. And again, Man City will do it, and Chelsea will do it. Everyone will do it. Real Madrid will do it. Just the wealth, the overwhelming financial firepower. Whereas why like Liverpool are still in the conversation. They won't offer the best finances. Absolutely not. But they're putting in the groundwork. They want to try and give like him the actual like here. Look, we're literally giving you the parking space for you here in the midfield. We're making a midfield for you. But whether that works or not is another question. But we'll get to Liverpool when we get to them. And move on to Spurs then after that then. And again, a very strange window for Spurs, really. A team that you could say almost certainly needed to improve, but didn't. And in positions where you say they were quite strong, they got worse. Very strange. Again, very much like Man City. The departures were
a weird one.
Very weird one. So their outgoings were Brian Hill out to Sevilla. So again, that's a second like loan move for a Spanish team he's had to go for this season. Then Jed Spence, who went to Rennes.
To me.
Oh, like that.
Why does Conte not like Spence?
There's no answer.
Is he confusing? Is he confusing Spence with that gallbladder he just had removed?
It could be that he saw him in the shower and slide as Mickey. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get the fuck out. Get out with that thing.
It's so baffling. And then we'll go back to Matt Doherty, who's gone to Atletico Madrid at the end, because that is just outright funny. So
we're gonna cancel your contract. That's no problem. I'm gonna work for the most ripped manager in world football.
It's like, but not even that. It's because, and this is why this is so funny, because the two rivals that got in are loans, which is Arnaud Danjuma, who hilariously went like to Spurs because he didn't want to go to Everton. That was just
they brought
fun.
A rat in, like he brought in a rat. Everton paid for his medical. Everton done everything. He had videos and pictures for the Everton media team already done because the guy who's one of the media managers, an old friend of mine. He worked at Hibs, and he had all the media done, signed, sealed. Scheduled to go out, and literally in the space of an hour fucked off to Spurs.
Fucking hell, like I know, like I always say, like I'll believe it when I see him holding the jersey. I'll believe it when I see him.
That's why
he was actually holding the jersey, and he still fucked off.
And then Pedro Porro then is the one they were actively like chasing over the window. And like this was a month-long odyssey for Porro. So this is clearly the person that like Conte as his like quintessential like fullback is who he wants. So we'll see how he goes in the window.
It's a wing back. Yeah. It's a wing back.
It's a wing back, yeah. Quintessential wing
system.
Conte is a 3-5-2 manager. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah, exactly. Now the difference is, again, that is a loan deal with an obligation to buy. They buy him in the summer for 37 million. But because it's a loan, then it turns back to Matt Doherty, because they already have loans out for certain players and they have loans out for their own squad, which meant that they had their quota of 8. So I think was it 8 or 9? I think we had this.
It's 9. It's 9.
It's 9, isn't it? Yeah.
It's 9 players. It's 9 players over the age of 21. Like you can loan out any amount of youth player. I don't think it's
you can. Yeah, on the 21s is different criteria, but
quota,
yeah. But the thing is, they complete their quota of 9 to loan out. So when they're trying to get Doherty out to bring Porro in, they go, well, we actually can't loan you out, so we're just going to like just tear up your contract. This is like it's such a like weird way of doing business.
Exactly,
it's like it's so because scattergun.
Because like for weeks, like for I think about a week or so, it was just nothing but, oh, he's been loaned out. We have decided to mutually terminate his contract. What?
Like, it's so fucking bizarre. It really is so bizarre. And like again, don't get me wrong, this is an upgrade for Matt Doherty. Let's be clear here. Like he walks into their first team because they're out of right backs. They've lost their Pacheco's running right back, and Felipe has gone to Nottingham Forest. Yeah. So he's literally walked into the Atletico Madrid team guilt free, like Trippier has.
Absolutely.
You know,
he's not afraid of a strong-willed manager now. He's gone from Mourinho to Conte to fucking Diego Simeone.
late era Simeone, where he's like already half jaded. You know,
he's already like he's crossed the Rubicon mentally. Like he's already fucking nuts. Like
again, like out of all that, you see, like this again, those aren't the positions I would have said Spurs, but we're like well, the cat hair.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I thought our dog was bad at shedding. But here's the thing, right? Like the wing backs was not what I thought the issue for Spurs was. I don't think they ever were. I know Conte's like whole team are based around width and needing the width, but like they need strikers. They need competition for Kane. They need like a strong midfield. The midfield to me is their weakest point because Højbjerg is doing like at least 3 jobs. Their line is completely off, and they have absolutely no energy in that position. You know, they needed someone like Ndombele, who, well, let's be frank, wasn't Ndombele, to be honest. But they need that dynamic number 8, and they don't have anyone in that squad that does that job. And they weren't interested in anybody. They weren't looking to sign anyone. The closest they had was Trossard, and he's another wide forward. You know, so to me, it's just so baffling the way they're doing business.
Yeah, it's weird. It's one of the things is, well, it's actually not that weird because it's Spurs getting themselves into between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
So like Levi and Enoch, they've lost the popularity contest. Their names are spat in and around the Seven Sisters. So they have to back their manager. But is Conte going to stick around?
He's not. So. He's apparently leaving. He's done.
He's Antonio Conte. Oh, that's the thing. They're in that rock and the hard place, and that they're vastly unpopular, so they can't go, well, we're just not going to invest in the squad because, you know, the manager's gone, because they're already getting spat at. But they're like, all right, then the only way to remedy that is to back the manager. But the manager's probably going to fucking leave at the end of the season unless you pay him 20 million quid a year, in which case they'd be fucking nuts to.
And Daniel Levy wants to sell as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. So you're like, oh shit, what do we do? Like they are literally damned if they do and damned if they don't. So they've given him somewhat of what he wants. So they've given him a high quality wing back. Porro comes quite well rated by quite a few people I know have spoken about him. They're like, yeah, he's a top right wing back. 45 million quid they paid for him. And Dan Juma, he'll go into that front 3. Don't see
another rotation player like it. Whenever
he'll cover for Son.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know, he'll cover for Son.
He'll go in so that they can loan out Gill, that Brian Gill, who has never been rated by anybody.
No, he's off to Sevilla.
Exactly, and so he'll go out, and that's just it. So they've kind of like, we've been given a shit hand, but also everybody knows that our cards are shit. So what's the best way of playing this without getting absolutely fucking bagged? And I'm going to give them a D.
I'm giving them a D as well, yeah.
I'd say D plus maybe, because I think Porro is going to be good. I think he's going to be a pivotal. He really is going to be a central figure for them because they need wing backs. They absolutely need wing backs. But like you said as well, that midfield is fucking hollow. I think Expressions is one of the Spurs bloggers.
Yeah, and he's gotten rid of like he's obviously got Lucas Moura on the injury table.
Yeah,
and Papa Sarr, who's also on the injury table. They're not due to come back, I don't think, this season.
Yeah, that's the thing. So they've been described as like a Premier League, like they are Premier League polo mints. They've got nothing in the middle. So that's it. D plus, depending on how Porro works out.
Yeah, I'll go with D. Let's go with D for them.
Yep. I'm going with D then. So we move on then to
here, I will say that D is the best they could have done.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Because as I said before, they're in a fucking tight spot.
Yeah, in fairness, and again, the midfield, as we've learned, we're going to learn from our next club, the market for central midfielders is a bit fucking inflaty at the moment. So, we'll go from there. So, yes, indeed, Brighton is the next club we're talking about. They're knocking on the door of European football and potentially could get there if De Zerbi has anything to do with it. So, departures, we mentioned Trossard already to Arsenal, so a good outlay for them considering he dropped tools and wanted to leave. They also worked out a permanent deal for Shane Duffy to go to league for Fulham. And sticking with the Irish contingent, Aaron Connolly has gone to Hull on a loan transfer. He was at Venezia, that got cancelled, and now he's out to Hull. Apparently, everyone's gone to Hull. Like, it's weird. And in terms of actual arrivals, Brighton do actually have two arrivals. They have one from Rosario Central, which is a great name. Facundo Buonanotte. Yes, there we go.
I always thought that was Bueno Notte, as in his second name literally translates as good night.
I think it is actually good night. Yeah, I think it is.
So he's actually Facundo Good Night.
Good night. Yeah,
sounds like a fucking boxer.
He's got a good ring name. I'll give him that much.
That's fucking brilliant. I love that. I was like, yes.
And they've also got again two young players as well, because between that then they've got Yassine Ayari from AEK Solna. So again, the scouting system working overtime.
Yeah, he's a Moroccan international, I believe, is he not?
I believe so, or Swedish, I think.
Yeah. Swedish.
And Buonanotte is hilariously Argentine. Well,
there you go.
He's an under 20 Argentine, so he could still do a Declan Rice.
That's true.
McAllister,
yeah. He could declare for Italy if he wanted to, but I see what you mean. But on paper, like you'd say, Brighton had a quiet window, but that obviously doesn't tell the whole story. A lot of it was about Felipe or Moises Caicedo even, and you'd also kind of argue that Alexis McAllister, based off his World Cup performance, was in the conversation, and then all the other players kind of breaking out at the same time. They were obviously going to be in the conversation and in the news.
Trossard was just Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly, and that was essentially it then. But you'd probably say, again, Brighton will probably be happy enough with this window solely because they're able to keep hold of their players and cash in on one of them. And I guess they're easily replacing.
They brought in a young lad from Bowes, Jamie Mullins, as well. Now, I like that they brought him in because Brighton have always had that kind of, you talk about Aaron Connolly and
they've been very good to Irish players.
Duffy, but Irish players have always had an affinity with Brighton. And, Aaron Connolly doesn't surprise me. James Scott left Hull for Exeter City, so they probably got him in to shore up that gap. Yeah. Shane Duffy to Fulham. Yeah, I mean, he was gone anyway.
He was on loan and he just made it permanent so they could get people in,
But I'd say on the whole, from transfer point of view, C+, B-, not too bad.
I'd go with the C+. I mean, their main aim was to avoid what they didn't think was going to happen, which was basically people trying to pillage them. So I think the writing had been on the wall with Trossard since he came back from the World Cup. So I don't think they were too fussed. I think they were quite happy to make that, get rid of him quick, get rid of him for a decent, penny. I don't think they wanted to draw that out into a bidding war. Get rid of him. Fuck it. Yeah.
Yeah, but they now just dragged it out into somewhere where they have now a solid chance of replacing him with a player of their choice. Because bear in mind, he had also lost in Wepu to his unfortunate heart condition, so they don't really want to lose any more midfielders one way or another.
Exactly. So I think keeping hold of Moises Caicedo, good for them. That's really good for them. That's a big boost. Trying to reintegrate him in now when he actively
that was an awkward now, in fairness.
Yeah, that's going to be a wee bit awkward.
Go home. We'll call you back when it's over.
Yeah. They did the same thing with Cucurella, and look how that went.
True.
He's got a great team. He didn't really need to do a tremendous amount. Not a whole lot Brighton can do. They're in their push for Europe, so they can really shore that team up. And it's just wow, is it a brilliant team? Fuck signing their players. I'd buy their entire scouting department.
But that's kind of what Chelsea did, in fairness.
And they must have just bought all the wrong ones because they bought their entire scouting department, and Brighton still have guys like Caicedo, who Chelsea wanted to buy for 55 million, and they were like, double that, and maybe we'll look at it. they still have players like Matoma. Oh my God, Matoma is such a fucking good player. You know, a person who's done a PhD in dribbling. Like, how did nobody else cop onto him? You know, I just look at that and it's like, how did nobody else sign him?
Marketability, dude. Marketability.
Yeah.
Crazy,
you can have 10 Matomas in a team, and one of them might be marketable. Do you know what I mean?
That works to your advantage. In fairness, like,
yeah, that's why they have him.
They could easily sell him for 15 times more than what they paid for him right now. Easily.
Enzo Fernandez, right? Will sell fucking shirts galore, right, for Chelsea. But he's still what's the word I'm looking for?
Proven.
Yeah, he's still unproven. Like he moved for 9 million 7 months ago.
Yeah.
River Plate are going to get £26.25 million because they had a 25% buy-in sell-on clause in the contract.
Yep.
So it's like,
so
the guy who wasn't even at the negotiating table is going to make like
more money
times
because
more.
he's a World Cup winner, right? So all the gear that Chelsea will sell from his purchase, they'll probably make back over the course of 2 seasons. But it's like any of these signings that'll sell shirts and they'll put the esteem of the club up and all this, but he's still improving. Like before the World Cup, nobody gave a shit.
We'll get to Chelsea, but
Brighton. Yeah, one club goal, yeah.
Brighton had a decent window. They didn't need to do a whole lot. They just needed to stop getting pillaged. I don't think that they were expecting this many.
Unfortunately, I don't know whether that's a typo with Sky, by the way. Buonanotte. No, genuinely, on every other site it's Buonanetta, so it's Buonanette.
I've got on the Guardian.
I think it's Notte. I think it says
on the Guardian website it's Notte.
Oh, okay.
Buonanotte.
So during a match against Paraguay, he suffered cervical spine and skull trauma. And they say he's in a good condition, but he's under observation and being tested quite heavily in the pertinent studies is what it has down here. But cervical spine and skull trauma against Paraguay.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So we move on then down the table to Fulham, who they did a bit of quiet business themselves on deadline day mostly. We mentioned about Cedric already arriving in on Arsenal on loan. That would likely be a permanent transfer, to be fair, because I think he'd be quite Fulham his level. Shane
Sasalukic wouldn't be spoken about already.
Yeah.
That was a good move.
Where did you get him from? Where did you get him from?
Torino.
Yeah. Sorry. I think the Cedric deal will be made permanent because Fulham have a guy up front who likes to cross.
He does.
And Cedric likes a cross himself. So match made in a wee bit in heaven.
Cedric to Mitrovic.
Exactly. I think you'll be finding that as well. And given that Silva coached Cedric at Sporting.
He did.
So that's good. And that's what they made Duffy's deal permanent as well, because that was the max of their loan. So that also.
Well, that's exactly it, because they let go of Josh Onoma on a free and Chalobah to West Brom as well on a disclosed fee as well. So Knockaert was their last loan, basically, because they cancelled one loan and then sent him out to Huddersfield. So they've maximised all their loans essentially from that. So. But yeah, like overall, Fulham were having a cracking season anyway, and all they wanted to do was sustain it. And I don't think they were really at risk of losing anyone outside of probably João Palhinha, but I don't think anyone was actually in for him. So overall, a good window, because they kind of kept under the radar. They just kind of hid under a bunker and snagged a few players in the meantime.
Yeah, that's it. It was just all about seasoning the current squad,
Yeah.
And
should we go with a C+ again?
Yeah, I'll go with a C+. Yeah, C+. Yeah. But that's just good. Taking over, keeping it good. Cedric, I think it'll be a decent signing for them, adding depth, nice bit of quality, and see how the Salukic guy works out.
Yep, indeed. We go to Brentford then, but they've had a very quiet window themselves. A lot of they're kind of like their B players coming out. Sergi Canos, they're only as it were proverbial first
B
team
player. Was that a pun there, Jonathan? Was that a pun?
No, they actually do have a B team. Go fuck yourself.
Please have a B team.
Yes. Yeah. I know. I couldn't have written this shit myself, but no, seriously, look at the Devon B team. So they caused quite a buzz. Now, so Sergio Canos are their only actual like first team player that's gone out, and he's gone to Olympiacos on loan for the rest of the season. Whereas the only like team player they really brought in realistically was Shade, Kevin Shade from Freiburg.
But don't forget about Romeo Beck.
I'm not counting. He's well, again, Dave. If you read the notes, he goes for the B team.
Yeah, he's making bacon sandwiches with like 9 writers for the B team.
Yes, exactly, and he's taking great pictures of like of darkness. So yeah, so Shade is their only real again competition for Tony. And again, really a quiet window for Brentford, just like sustaining what they had. They kept all the players realistically. Again, Tony perhaps the most marketable of the lot, but of course he's got financial irregularities to deal with, so he won't be on the market, ironically enough, for a while.
Yeah, lots of people are waiting to see what happens there.
Indeed. So will we say a C for Brentford? I mean, they didn't really need to strengthen anywhere, realistically.
Well, I'd go with a C plus as well. I mean, like they just had to tread water. Like they were under no pressure. That squad didn't need any major anything done to it. It was all just consolidating, adding a wee bit of depth. You know, maybe the Shade guy, maybe he'll be good. You know, maybe he won't. He arrived on loan. Well, it was early, wasn't he? He arrived on loan early.
Yeah, quite early. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think what's the buy option on that is what 20 million quid.
It's about that 2025. Yeah,
I reckon they'll take that. And so yeah, that's really it. You know, so C plus, tread water, fair play.
Yep, indeed.
Yep.
And speaking of treading water, we come to Liverpool, who didn't do any deadline day business. And they did get one player in, that was Cody Gakpo, right under Man United's noses. And essentially is there for the strike force. Again, that doesn't tell the whole story, because like realistically, that wasn't really the business they needed to do. Like if you look at the team right now, you could very clearly see there's a massive issue in midfield, and perhaps even the fullback department, because Trent clearly needs someone like more senior to compete against, as opposed to Calvin Ramsey, who let's be honest hasn't had a chance to actually show how good
he's not developed yet. He's in the same kind of boat as Andy Robertson when he first arrived at Liverpool. Yeah. And Kieran Tierney when he moved to Arsenal first season he moved to Arsenal.
Exactly. He was on the injury bench for months anyway, so he hasn't had a chance to properly compete yet. So but Gakpo, like again, Dave, we're kind of in the same camp here. Like Gakpo was an odd one in a sense. Like again, we let go of Origi and Minamino, so there was space on the bench for our attackers. And like again, we're looking at like Liverpool seem to look at the attackers as a set of six players to choose from, and essentially in this new system it'll be a choice of 4 out of those 6, and
all on the left side.
All in the well, that's the whole kind of point, is the fact that like you can go left and you go and like bias them all the way around. Like Gakpo, you probably say is left, but I kind of see him as that kind of that Origi type of player. I think he will be central like Nunes. So I think Nunes and Gakpo will be the central players. Salah then would be on the right. Diaz would be left. And Jota, I think, is the one that's a bit of an outlier now, because he might have to now settle for being the centre forward or deep playing player like Firmino is. Now, in fairness, Jota is a very versatile player. He could easily move to the right, maybe moves at the left. A lot of these players can move in anywhere different positions. And even Nunes himself is playing better on the left at the moment. So like this is the kind of interim we have at the moment. It is quite frustrating looking at it though, because like it's very evident that we just need to get some energy in midfield.
Yeah,
a lot of those players are just liabilities now, unfortunately. And
you're not touching your midfield again. Like I understand, like because Klopp's had a few, shall we say, tetchy press conferences about this.
Yeah.
So I understand, like not like buying in 3 or 4 midfielders, but they're not even getting one as cover or competition.
Now, like I said, the conversation isn't necessarily over. Like there are midfielders on the free market that could come in, but I don't see it happening. There has been talk of Isco coming in, but I don't see it happening realistically. He's not the player we need. We need an engine room midfielder, and they're just not available. And when they are available, they're going for their like Casado prices. They're 70-80 million, because that's
if I was Liverpool, I'd be bringing in John McGinn without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't see even McGinn is the right mold of player. Yes, I would agree with that. But I think with the season he's had at Villa, I don't think he's the right guy. But that's the type of person we need to get. Realistically, I think as that sounds, it's a player that we haven't replaced as Wijnaldum. We never actually replaced Wijnaldum since he left for Roma, or PSG even. And it seems baffling to me that he has. And again, we're trying to try different players there. We've been trying so hard to get Keita to work, and when he is playing, he's great, but he doesn't play enough. He's just so unreliable.
Not consistent.
Yeah.
And for me, Liverpool's a massive F for me. Like if there was any way of getting it lower, Z. It's been a terrible, terrible transfer window. To the point where the journals are already talking about next season. It's not even February. Well, it's February now, but it's not even fucking near the end of the season. They're already talking about Klopp needs to rebuild next season. This is like that's how much the journals.
But I think they also see it from that side where like they know that they can't, like whatever kind of inside track they have is that they're being told that there is they are doing their business in the summer because that's whatever kind of like program that they have, or like squad planning, whatever it is. It's kind of a case of forgetting to see the forest in a sense, where they're going like, yes, but we know in 2023 we're going to be doing this. Yeah, but right now you're losing your chance at Champions League football. You could very well have like a follow season works for a lot of like sports like NFL and so forth, but in football you need the continuity. You need to be able to, if you want to have this player now, or in like say in 6 months' time, you need to be good now. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's my point. Like there, like we talked about this in the last episode, and it's like, oh, we're gonna go in for Bellingham. I was like, do you really think you have a shot at Bellingham if you don't have Champions League football?
No.
Well, no, but see, that's the thing. They've laid out so much groundwork that, like, again, you make the argument that, like, if all things were equal and everyone was offering the same financial package and so forth, then yes, Bellingham would go to Liverpool because his two best friends in the England camp were Henderson and Trent. That wasn't by accident, by the way. The club actively told Henderson and Trent to start courting and to try and get Jude on side and to be attracted. Now, don't get me wrong, if Bellingham goes to Liverpool, he's going to be a legend. He will have that Steven Gerrard level of mythos, but that's not any guarantee because it's not the same. It's not the same type of football that like Gerrard had when like he didn't need to go anywhere else. The closest he had was Chelsea, and even then he kind of like it wouldn't have felt right going to Chelsea, even though he was very clearly courted. He was very clearly tempted by Chelsea. But for Bellingham, like Bellingham can look at this emotionally and say, I want to go to a team where I'm going to be the center of attention and the hero and the messianic figure, and he'll go to someone like Liverpool or Newcastle. We're not talking about Newcastle here, but they are doing the same thing. They are opening a gap in their midfield for a marquee player, and that could be Bellingham. And again, that sounds silly to say it, but that is entirely possible. Real Madrid are doing the same thing. Modric will be phased out, and everyone else's Cruz will be phased out. They are going to have an opening in the midfield as well. Everyone's doing the exact same kind of shadow boxing, if you like, for Bellingham. And Liverpool, as you said, have to make themselves attractive to do that. Unfortunately, they can't do it with a midfield of fossils and liabilities. As much as Fabinho's been a great servant for the last few years, this season he has been our worst player by a country mile. Like we were joking about the tackle with Evan Ferguson, but that has actually been a constant trend over the season. He's been constantly a yard off the pace. And again, this is probably us paying for a 60-match season last year, not having the break, active break in preseason we needed. But that's still excuses. That's still everyone's been in the same boat there, bar like a few clubs that had very easy seasons last year. They were hamstrung. They couldn't go for Mateus Nunes because of like FIFA regulations. So seemingly those are the two players that are going to come in next season. But again, as you said, Neil, you could have got a short-term fix in now. Like we mentioned Sofian Amrabat there earlier there. Like he is the midfield destroyer that Liverpool have been asking for. And that's not coming up at all. That's not even being mentioned, even though they had talks, they were interested in him. Fiorentina were willing to sell. And that just didn't flare up either. They wanted to get Kakpo in because, well, it was a case of if we don't get him in now, we'll never get him, which is understandable. Like the market is fluid in a sense. And he was coming in cheap, like 37 million for a player of his quality and his age. It was quite good. And I think it'll take him a time to bed in. But I'm with Dave on this one. Like when you look at it, like objectively, they needed to get midfielders in and they got none. Like realistically, I think they're looking at a summer where they're going to be probably losing Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita, and Fabinho and Thiago are looking a bit replaceable as well. So you could make an argument that Liverpool could need 5 midfielders. You know, now unless Curtis Jones starts kicking into gear, he needs to at this stage. And Bajcetic looks good at the moment, but again, you're begging your hopes on an 18-year-old Spanish and Serbian youngster. You know, you don't want to put too much responsibility on too soon. Elliott, I don't think that's his natural position. He needs to be out wide on the right. So you need 4 players to come in there, at least. At the very least.
If I was Liverpool, I'd be looking at Kessie from Barca as well.
Kessie's a good option too. There's tons of good options. They need to be smart about it, and they need to. In a weird way, their policy of always getting the one player they need is actually working to their detriment. They actually need quantity at this stage, which is a very Liverpool have always been quality for the last while. This is the one time where they actually need numbers. They need actual squad numbers, because if you want to keep this kind of if you want to bring back the high intensity pressure football that won you league titles, and Champions League and so forth, you actually do need the squad numbers to do that now, because the numbers are unsustainable. You can't go through a 60-match season playing the style you do with the squad you have. They break down as we've seen.
You too many academy players for Liverpool this season. Not that that's a bad thing, but
no. But you don't want to put the Chelsea are in the same camp as well. They're being Potter is using the likes of Chukwuemeka and Hutchinson and Lewis Hall already, and they're all very good players. Lewis Hall is fantastic. I love watching him play, but again, it's coming too much too soon for him at the moment, and you don't want to expose a player's frailties that quickly. You know, Bajcetic, I think, had a run of games where he's brilliant, but then come the Chelsea game, he was out on his feet in the last 15 minutes. In the Brighton game, was actually kind of was a perfect example of this. Started the game and wilted, and in the 10-15 minutes that Fabinho was on, we lost the fucking game handsomely. Fabinho was the difference maker in that match. So I mean, if that doesn't show you the ailing issue with that midfield, I don't know what is.
Yeah,
fresh legs, get the fresh legs in, and in the case of Arthur, don't get someone who's injury prone. That would be fucking ideal, But yeah, I'm with you on that one, Dave. I think we had business to do, we didn't do it, and it's just making Klopp's job even harder. To be honest, that's all this is.
Yeah,
unfortunately. So I guess we move on to the main event, lads. If anything, Chelsea. Currently 10th in the league, but follow me on this magical journey through the bullshit that is Todd Boehly. So the only departure realistically was Jorginho going to Arsenal. That's the one person that came in to make way for this contingent of players.
Don't forget Jude Soonsup-Bell to Spurs.
Oh, yeehaw. Yes, that's not. So we started off then with João Felix, who came in on loan from Atletico Madrid. They paid 11 million euros for him on a loan fee, by the way. Then you have David Fofana coming in from Molde, very much a Brighton signing, because they literally
that's 2 different Fofanas from 2 different clubs.
Yes, exactly. There's David Fofana and there's
Wesley Fofana.
Yes, exactly.
Which of these is the right Fofana?
The first one didn't work out, so they went out and bought another one.
Exactly, yeah. Well, Fofana is a striker, so at least you can distinguish them that way.
True.
You got Andre Santos, another youngster coming in from Vasco da Gama for the similar price. Malagusto then, right back from Lyon. He's gone back to Lyon for the rest of the season.
Player whose name literally translates as bad taste.
Right.
Yeah. Which is anything that's what Chelsea have been this season. And then you have Noni Madueke from PSV Eindhoven, English winger, so he's coming in for silly money. Benoit Badiashile coming in from Monaco, centre back, again 38 million euros. Then you have the 2 weirdest deals I think at the window, and I was only saying this to Kira, and I'm sure she'll chime in very soon. But you have Mudryk coming in straight from under the nose of Arsenal. And again, not from just Arsenal, the player himself wanted to go to Arsenal. And
the line on Twitter was signing somebody who was publicly twerking for Arsenal.
Yeah, that is the line we'll go with. And again, in a position where Chelsea didn't need strengthening, and this is the theme of this for me is, and then Enzo Fernandez then coming in essentially today for 120 million euros, which is his release clause. These are all positions that I don't think Chelsea actively needed. like they're very clearly building to something that they only see and we don't. But it's also clearly something that the club don't actually need themselves. You know, like Mudryk is competing with Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic, and Kai Havertz for game time, when Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is still permitted to be the sole striker of the club. His direct competition is Fofana, and Fofana's going out on loan. So what the fuck is going on? Like, there's so many players for the one position in this team. Like again, Gusto, if he didn't go out on loan, would have been competing with Reece James and Azpilicueta for right back. You know,
these are their list of forward players, right?
Yeah,
these are the list of forward players here. David Fofana.
Yeah.
Joao Felix, Madueke, Ziyech, Pulisic, Mudryk, Sterling, Havertz, Mount, Aubameyang, Andres Santos. I think that's it. That's just the attackers.
Yeah.
If you're going to read them all out now, we're going to be here all day.
So basically, they have an interesting squad list at the minute because N'Golo Kante and Dennis Zakaria have to come back from injury.
Yeah.
So that's another two midfielders among the 9 or 10 you've got there.
You
know, Chukwuemeka, Loftus-Cheek, Gallagher, Kovacic, Fernandez, Kante, Zakaria. Can't play them all at once, Todd.
No, you can't. And this is the most frustrating side of it, is like the Mudryk signing was what I say a quintessential Chelsea signing. They signed him so that he wouldn't play for the rivals, essentially. Whereas the Enzo Fernandez one, I felt like was just like such an indulgent signing for who he was replacing, for what midfield. You know, this doesn't feel like the players that like Potter would sign for Chelsea. Like Madueke, yeah, Fofana, sure, Santos, yeah, they seem like signings that you'd bet in over time and build a new Chelsea team with. But the rest of them are just like they're like signings that you do on Football Manager. You know, so it's like, oh, we need this. Well, then I'll sign this person. You know, but no, legit, like this, that's what you do. Like, there's no thought behind it for me. There really is.
I literally, I'm in 28-29 season and I've just been hired by Southampton. Just spent 49 million quid on a 20-year-old striker from City. Not even the first team. So yeah.
But that's what's it like Chelsea, I think, like the market, like people like on the transfer market clearly know that Chelsea are rubes. They're total and utter rubes. They know that Todd Boehly is splashing cash and he's trying to impress, and he's genuinely living up to the dumb American stereotype in football. Like he is genuinely Ted Lassoing his way through the Chelsea reign.
Mate, I'm convinced he thinks it's the wrong football. He wants a 40-man squad.
Well, like but it's so sustainable because then you can only declare 3 of the players. And then what they not even mentioned in all this is the Hakim Ziyech stuff. Like that was just
I was at the
trapped in a PSG.
I was waiting until all of this kind of died down before going, and then we get to Ziyech. Well, fuck you, pop the bubble now, so let's go for it.
Let's do it. So Ziyech was clearly supposed to be the one person that's going to make way, right? So he's clearly for all these players. And it was going to be a loan deal, obligation to buy. You see the two lads giggling here? This is how fucking dumb this is, right? They do absolutely everything, right? The medical is done, personal terms. He is going to play what is being described as a dream move because you get to play with Mbappe and Messi, 2 favorite players, and his best mate in Ashraf Hakimi. So he is literally going to play with his 3 favorite people in the world. And what happens is Chelsea, who I feel did this deliberately just to be fucking arseholes.
They absolutely did it deliberately. There's not a doubt in my mind that this was not an accident.
No.
Of all of the things
So the paperwork they were sending over, the deal sheet they sent to PSG was wrong. First off, it was the wrong document they sent over, right?
I guarantee you sent it over and it said Hakim Ziyech.
Right? And then PSG send it back to him saying that this is wrong, please send the right one. And they send the right one, but they forget to sign it, right? They forget to sign their side of it. And PSG go, no, you have to send it back. And you have to sign this and then send it back to us. So you do send it back, and they still haven't signed it. And then the time elapses. It's too late for the deal to go through. And Hakim Ziyech is right there in Paris waiting for this deal to go through. He's picking out his fucking shirt number. You know, he's excited. He's chatting up fucking Hakeem and going
through
like,
the merch catalog, telling him what all merch is going to be on sale for him.
Yeah.
And then he has to go back to the fucking Chelsea store where there's nothing.
Like legit, like I just like it's almost like they're deliberately doing amateur hour, but like in this kind of weird, like Todd Boehly, like augmented reality.
Unless it's all been for a reality show that they're currently filming.
Yeah, they've had an all or nothing.
Like, Arsenal. So
nothing part.
I have a feeling Todd Boehly's cut a deal with like CBS for a behind the scenes, you know, being Chelsea.
Yeah, is Ziyech like the comedy relief, like the guy that everybody dicks over just for a few?
Like, could you imagine the cameras looking through the glass where he's in a boardroom on his own, sat at a chair going?
I can't actually imagine that. Yeah, it's like a take on the Peter Odom-Wingy tale. It's like, how can we do that but funnier?
Yeah, like drive to the wrong training ground.
Let's have him drive to Paris. In a camper van with Conor Gallagher, because we were trying to get rid of him as well, and we fucked that one up too. Like,
I'm convinced. I'm genuinely convinced this is all going to come out with a Netflix documentary or some TV station has syndicated all of this shit.
Either that, or he's gonna sit down in a podcast and lay it all out over like 2.5 hours, and by the end of it, he'll be like hitting a bong.
Fuck it. Go on, Piers Morgan. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You'll be next to Piers Morgan. Now, Todd, why have you bought so many players? And then he'd just be like, yeah.
And why isn't one of them my friend Cristiano Ronaldo? Why don't you sign Ronaldo? He's really good.
Signed Ronaldo. It's an insult that you haven't signed Ronaldo.
And why are you friends with Meghan Markle? Sorry. Anyway. But even then, right? But I say now the tinfoil hat conspiracy is the reason they're doing all of this is one, Chelsea want to do the football dominion like Manchester City do, the City Football Group, where they have Girona and they have a few other kind of satellite clubs they can basically send players off to until they get their work permits. Now these are all players that have work permits that can play for Chelsea now, essentially. But Chelsea want to basically buy stakes in certain teams to do the same thing. So they want to buy a team, say in Brazil, in whatever it is, and then send their players out there, like how Abramovich used to do it unofficially with Vidas Arnhem. They want to do it now officially, because again, it's a flex to basically have smaller feeder clubs in. But the difference is that Todd Boehly and his associates haven't bought any football teams. Like Chelsea,
City have New York City FC.
They've
Melbourne City FC. So at least they have two other cities.
Yes.
You know, City teams.
And Girona as well. So they've got the stake in Girona and they have a stake in
City done it over time. Todd Boehly's trying to do it overnight. This is the biggest issue. It's all going to implode. I'm telling you, this is going to be fucking... He's going to be hit with a £200 million tax bill in about a year.
Well, that's where the tinfoil hats is starting to apply, Dave. Because when you look at then how all the other big teams are kind of ailing over the last month, like a lot of people believe that the reason they're like Chelsea in particular are hoarding these players now is because of an imminent Super League bid coming in again. Because Chelsea were in with the Super League and Abramovich kind of like saw the optics and said, no, I'll pull out. But like realistically, Chelsea were just as much in Super League as everyone else. And you can bet your ass that the American venture capitalist and Todd Boehly is looking at the other American venture capitalists and going, yeah, let's do this again, but better.
Yeah.
You know, and they're looking at a 40-man squad and thinking, yes, let's get them into the Super League and let's have them play all the time. You know,
I read in Marca that Marca have described the transfer window as the English asylum.
Yes.
Do any other leagues take the January transfer window seriously? Because there's been nothing else in any other leagues as far as I can see.
No. Chelsea outspent all of them put together.
So did Southampton, by the way. Which we'll get to. But how do you even start grading the Chelsea window? Because I can't say yes, some of these players are obviously going to be improvements on the squad, but it's such a bloated squad. Where do you start fucking playing them? You know?
No, it's a complete F. This is just not how you do things. Like they'll turn around and go, oh well, we're ripping up the rule book, you know, and you don't like it, you're just jealous. And I'm like, well, right.
No, not really. I wouldn't be jealous of the business Chelsea have done.
No. Well, I'm a bit pissed off about not having Mudryk, but that's just about it. I was never keen on João Felix, not the fucking prices Atletico wanted. Suck my fucking dick.
Plays one game, gets red carded.
Gets a straight red, straight out, you know. But like this is just so bloated. Like they're gonna have to, like, the amount of dead wood they're gonna have to carve off this team and set on in the summer. Like it's insane. And in between now and then, they're going to have to pay all those wages. Then they're gonna have to cut off all of that dead wood. They're gonna have to try and settle in the players they've got there without Champions League football. They're not getting into Europe. Fuck no. And I was kind of like, what has Potter been doing with all of this? Because it's very clear that none of this was done with his consent.
Potter
not a tremendous amount of it. Anyway.
Potter doesn't. Potter, as far as I'm concerned, has zero dealings or zero to do with transfers at all. Full stop. He doesn't have anything to do with them. I don't blame him at all. In fact, I feel fucking terrible.
I feel sorry for him as well.
I really do. Yeah. Brought into this shambles of a fucking situation.
Like it's like I say, it's a real. It feels like a real fight of fantasy. And it's just like it just keeps going on more and more, because if that team then don't, like, if they stay 10th hypothetically, like this season, did you just go out and buy 10 more players? Like, but then you can't sell on these players, and like how many players are out on loan? Like 8 or 9 players out on loan for Chelsea. Like probably more. So like it's so much. Like again, you support Chelsea, of course, and like you've been on this Todd Boehly like ride, if you like. It's like against your will, it must be said.
He's coming. He is a cowboy. He's a cowboy.
Yeah,
it's they can describe it.
It's something else when how you operate gets FIFA to move to restrict how you operate in a few months. Like this is FIFA. Like they get overtaken by stationary objects. You know, like the fact that they immediately took a look at what Chelsea were doing and went, "Oh no, we're not doing this."
Yeah, and that's for stuff that was done years ago. So now when they're looking at all this stuff retroactively, when they're auditing this stuff, the stuff they're gonna find again. This is why they're tightening up the things like the 8-year contracts, because this is how they're getting away with it. They're only paying a certain amount. But as we were kind of working the maths, if you're doing that for 8 or 9 players, you're paying 100 million a year for players you might have sold on by then.
In a club, when it was revealed that when Abramovich sold it off, he'd been eating £50 million a year losses every year since he bought the club. Like, okay, let's debt load this debt heavy club. The fuck?
Yeah.
With all due respect to Chelsea, they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players out on loans. All they have.
Yeah, well, didn't they have to disband the loan farm? Like they did at one point, had like 50.
Yeah,
basically when we got the ban for buying in and out, we had to raid our own loan farm.
Yeah.
But that's the way it should be, though. Like if you're gonna bring, if you're gonna use, because
that's why we got Mount. That's why we have Reece James,
Abraham, Hudson-Odoi. Yeah,
they all came through that particular set of circumstances.
But that's what I have to say as well. Like this is also a Chelsea that have one of the biggest and best youth academies in the country, if not the world.
And Lukaku's still out on loan.
And Lukaku will still come in, like so. Like it's so baffling. So so we would even try to work at the math of this. Like you could like Graham Potter could arrive on the 1st of July if he's still in the job, 1st of July in 2023, and see a squad of 50 people there waiting for him.
Yeah,
that's ludicrous. You can't. That is so unsustainable. So we were saying it was going to be an F solely because like,
oh god, yeah.
It's no matter of the quantity, no matter of the quality.
Fair play fail.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. That's absolutely no doubt. But like Jesus, how do you make fucking sense of that? Like you got 2 teams work there. Yeah. So
he's going to drag the team down to rack and ruin, all because he doesn't have a notion of how to actually manage it.
Yeah.
Like at least Abramovich had the money to just keep bankrolling it. He did it because he loved the club.
Yeah.
He loved football. He was an absolute nut for it. Pity he was Russian.
Do you know what this reminds me of, actually? Do you remember when your man took over Leeds? Or was it Blackburn? Was it Blackburn that he took over and immediately started buying like players for crazy money? Like
that was Leeds. That was what got Leeds relegated twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he just went completely hell for leather signing players for super at the time.
You had to sell Viduka. You had to sell Kuhl. You had to sell loads of fucking players that you just ended up dropping down to League One.
Yeah, like that's the fear for Chelsea, because again, this has happened before. It's happening now.
Yeah,
you don't want this shit to happen to your club, but again, this is on a more extravagant scale.
But don't get me wrong.
You also do have to ask, like the amount of money that people are spending in all of the clubs is ridiculous.
It is, yeah.
It's bloated out of control. But if you can't win a league with the players that you have, there has to be a question mark.
True.
Like the quality of the players across the Premier League is not that low that teams can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just that managers get very, very set in their own particular style instead of, well, what players do I have and what can I do that suits.
And that's the frustrating thing with Potter, because then he now has so many players. How do you pick your best 11 out of that? Because then you want to try this player here and that player there, and by the time you've reshuffled your lot, the season's over and you're mid-table.
And this is the issue.
He's gonna have to pick his. It'll be troubling. It'll be trouble enough for him to pick his best 25.
Yeah,
let alone
this
pick his.
About not having him involved in the transfers.
Yeah, I don't think that he was tremendously involved in anything. No. He's kind of like one of the Bill Baileys and Hot Fuzz. I was like, nobody tells me nothing anymore.
He tells me nothing.
Nothing around here. You know, and that's just it. It's like, oh, hey, boss, I was a new signing. Nobody tells me nothing around here.
Yeah.
Who's that guy? That's the head coach. The fuck?
And like, let's face it. Let's just talk about what we're really all looking forward to next year, and that is watching Kalidou Koulibaly line out as an offensive lineman in the NFL.
That's a real master plan from Todd Boehly.
In all fairness, he could crush it as an O lineman. You know, like he's got the build for it. Like watching him to smash some wide receiver the next year. Yeah,
no, I think he could do well.
It's worth a try, because he hasn't been that great as a centre back, so you know it checks out really, you know. But so anyway, we move on then to Villa, who relatively speaking, compared to our Chelsea, had a very quiet window. They brought in Jean Duran from Chicago Fire for about 16 million euro thereabouts. Good talent to be fair. Good talent to be fair. Again, Colombian youth international. Of course, because he is a Colombian international going to Aston Villa, he got the customary hello and welcome from Juan Pablo Angel, as tradition states, for this combination. They also got, as again the tradition with Unai Emery, he had to get a player in from La Liga, and you got Alex Moreno from Real Betis, who a fullback who very much kind of fits a mold there for Emery. Namely, they got rid of a lot of their left there fullbacks in Frederick Gilbert. He's gone to Strasbourg, and they cancelled the loan for Augustinson from Sevilla. That was a Steven Gerrard one. Badnarek has gone back to Southampton. Marvelous Nakamba, the wonderfully named Marvelous Nakamba, has gone to Luton. I don't know why. Maybe because he likes hats. And Morgan Sanson's gone to Strasbourg on loan as well. But the biggest sale actually was Danny Ings completing his fucking claret infinity gauntlet.
Yeah,
so that's the Scunthorpe next.
Yeah, that's it.
Scunthorpe and Drogheda United. That's the last two on his destination.
And hey, that was an incredible piece of business.
Yeah, why not?
That was an incredible piece of business, because no sooner he sold Ings to West Ham than he went up and did himself in 18 minutes into his debut.
Yeah,
so he got himself fucking injured. So as I said,
it's like being back at Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like this one. I like this. Villa
didn't get Guendouzi. I know they were desperate to get Guendouzi from Marseille.
Yeah, because Emery was very, very high on bringing Guendouzi in. I don't know whether he has something lined up for the summer.
That's probably something they'll do in the summer. Marseille are kind of Ligue 1 is sort of up in the air right now, and Marseille are like, we're keeping our powder dry. Maybe in the summer we'll talk. Yeah. Now Guendouzi will definitely want to go with Emery, so I reckon the club have sat down with him and went, look, don't go in January. Come in the summer. It's the Premier League, so they're going to come in with fucking stupid cash. And if they come in with a decent offer, we'll let you go. But do us a favor and stick around, because look at the Ligue 1. This place is batshit right now. Like,
I mean, you're looking at Marseille in second.
Yeah, they're in second. Like, I guarantee they sat him down and went, look, we're in second. Don't leave now. You're killing
Champions League football. But he could potentially get Champions League football, whereas he goes to Villa, he gets nothing.
They're not even Conference League, are they?
Oh, but RC Lens are third place.
Yeah.
They're the Union Berlin of Ligue 1.
Anyways, it's fucking nuts. So Ligue 1's crazy. So I think that's why he couldn't get him.
Yeah.
If Marseille were like 8th, he'd be a Villa player already. So I think, and everybody's okay with that. So, but like I like he's just basically he sorted his priorities. He's a pragmatic kind of coach. So he sorted priorities. So if one of his priorities was left back, Moreno came in. Limited fuss. I honestly thought they'd get a bit more of a fight to get Moreno, but particularly because Moreno, he wasn't. Were Forest in for him in the summer?
I think Forest have been in for everybody, to be honest. But
right, so it's a safe bet that they were in for him in the summer.
And then you had John Duran with John spelled with the H in the wrong place. From Chicago Fire. I think that's the utility striker.
Yeah. He's good. He's young. He's one for the short and long term. Well done. And they're just running what they've got again. Yeah. Just keeping the powder dry for the summer. Got rid of Ings, which was a great piece of business, as it turned out, because he went and fucked himself. So well done, Villa. Treading water, keeping up. C+, because they're treading water and they've covered one area that they needed to cover, which was left back. And Moreno is a good, solid left back.
Very good. Very good. Move on then to Crystal Palace, who again, relatively quiet window. Butland, we mentioned already, gone out, and the youngster Malcolm Eboué, I believe he's an Irish international, if I'm not mistaken. No, he's English, beg your pardon. I think he can declare if he wants to. But he's gone to Hull on loan as well. But their main rival in was Albert Lokonga, and they also, their only money signing was Nairo Ahamada coming in from the Bundesliga from Stuttgart, to be precise. So that was our dealing, So again, quite a winner for Palace, but they didn't really need to do much business. They're kind of happy enough mid-table. So a solid D for Palace, really.
They were trying to get Conor Gallagher back. He was their last season player of the year. Didn't work out, so that's why they went with Hamhada. Lokonga, I'm interested in seeing how he works out there. As we said before, let's hope he picks up a thing or two from playing in central midfield from their manager.
Yes.
And that's just the thing. Like central midfield was their kind of priority. They'd really nothing there, or it just needed a bit of bolstering. And I think he's plugged that gap. Can you get some guy from Dave? Can you get some guy from St. Mirren?
The youngster, I think. Yeah.
Ethan Orhan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Hang on.
Oh no, Dylan Reid from
Dylan Reid,
Dylan
Reid he
from...
wasn't for the first team. So
yeah, on 23s, yeah.
So he's one for the future, and so let's see how that works out. But again, another C+. Treading water, plug the gap that they needed to plug in central mid, which will suit everybody. Gives them a decent enough player, and hopefully he'll improve to either fit in at Arsenal. Don't think so, but hey, time could prove me wrong there, or we can sell him off. Hey, that'll work out for us as well. More money towards buying Declan Rice, the second most talented Irishman in the league.
Indeed. Just behind Evan Ferguson, of course.
Yeah, so absolutely, yeah.
So we move on to Nottingham Forest, who again, after the ridiculous window they had, you would have thought they would have had a bit of a quiet one.
They don't like to calm down that lot.
No, they really don't. They signed 6 more players.
And
3 on deadline day. So you mentioned John Joe Shelvey and Chris Wood already. Shelvey is a permanent deal. Wood is a loan signing, but I think that can be made permanent if they want to. They also got 2 signings from Palmeiras. That was Danilo for 20 million and Giancarlo Scarpa on a free transfer. Then they got Felipe in on deadline day from Atletico Madrid for a relatively decent fee of 2 million. And then the biggest signing was Keylor Navas from PSG on a loan transfer as competition for Dean Henderson.
Bit of a shithouse move on Forest's part, to be honest. I mean, if you're Dean Henderson, you must be fucking raging, man. You must be seriously raging because you're bringing in a Champions League winner Keylor Navas, like a proper
kind of, but like he's not. Navas hadn't started a league game all season. Like he's come in after sitting on a bench for 4 months, picking splinters out of his arse cheeks. You know, like it's not as if like, oh, he was just playing in the Champions League a couple of weeks back and now he's at
No,
Forest.
but I mean Donnarumma, when you pay that much for a keeper like Donnarumma, you're gonna play him, aren't you?
He's gonna start.
I mean,
but that's the point. But like the thing is that like if you're Henderson, you're gonna look at that as a kind of a learning experience because
so.
Navas will have gone through, but no, that Henderson's I do like Henderson. I rate him as a goalkeeper. I do really like him. I think he's far too good for Forest. But I think he's got a good head and shoulders. He will take this as a learning experience. Navas will have been through things or will have experienced matches, games, wins that he, let's be fair to him, will probably never in his career. So he'll be looking to soak up as much information out of Navas as well, whilst also going, this guy's got the know-how. And also, Navas isn't too old even for a goalkeeper. So, you know, there's a high chance that Navas can still probably do it. You know, so again, good learning experience and a good pushing experience, if you get me. So
yeah, I get that.
I don't entirely dislike it. It's just 6 more fucking players, lads, and no outs. Nobody went out.
No, very few. They were all like loanees and so forth, and no like real kind of like there. I think there was 2 that went to Blackburn, but I don't think they actually went across the line or not. So
it's pure survival mode shit from Forest.
Yeah.
Like that's they're like, we don't care. All that matters is staying up. That is it. Like if they get relegated, I guarantee you all of these signs of relegation clauses in their contract. Like if we go down, you're getting cut loose.
Yeah,
because
I think
if they have to pay all these motherfuckers in the championship, they're going fucking down. They're getting liquidated. Yeah. They're getting fucking reduced to sand. But that's it. They're just exciting, experienced players that nobody else wants.
Yeah, pretty much. I was going to give them a C- personally because I think some of them are very unnecessary signings. Like
I'll go even lower. I go with D-. There's nothing in the way of strategy here. They're just signing experience and hoping that it all kind of blends together.
Yeah, like this decade's QPR.
Exactly. Yeah, just kind of mash shit together. There's like my 2-year-old when she's trying to do a jigsaw and she's just mashing the pieces together and they're going, oh yeah, well that works. It's like no. But then she's 2. She's not a fucking Premier League fucking club.
Very true. We move on then to Leicester, who are currently were in the relegation scrap, but they're starting to fight their way out of it. Present form excluded. 2 outgoings. Iosi Perez gone to Real Betis on loan, and Mark Albrighton somehow still playing. Has gone to West Brom for potential title promotion tilt there. 3 decent signings though for Leicester. They found some money down the coffers anyway. Tete coming in from Shakhtar Donetsk on a loan, which probably will become permanent if they can afford it.
No, he was got in on a free.
Is he a free? Okay, right. Thank you very much for that, Dave. Victor Christensen then plugging the hole at left back from Copenhagen for €14 million. And then Harry Souttar, quite literally the biggest central defender they can find. He's 6'7".
He is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He's a great signing. He's
very good for them, but I was like, people I got tons of pings when Leicester signed him, thinking, what the fuck is this? They've signed like a fucking heavy linebacker.
Yeah.
Surprised
Todd Boehly didn't sign him actually.
That's it. I'm very surprised though. I was like, oh man, this guy can fucking crush it at center.
Do you realize there's like 3 positions that start with center? Yeah, so you can do all of them.
Yeah.
Left center, right center, forward center, back center.
Play ball. And I was just going like, all right, I'm fine. Like I just thought they were all blown out of proportion. Then I saw the guy. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, he had a good World Cup as well, to be fair. Like he only declared for Australia last year, didn't he? He was Scottish,
yeah.
Didn't he, Dave?
Yeah, he was born in Aberdeen, Scotland, missed out big time.
Yeah.
He played for Scotland up to under 19. But the weirdest thing is he's been at Stoke since 2016.
Yes.
Moved there from Dundee United. Now, obviously, his brother now plays for Rangers, John Suter, I think it is. But this guy is like, I'm surprised he's not been on anyone's radar sooner. You know, 6'6", fucking tank, centre back.
The thing is, he's so large, he would show up on actual radar.
Yeah, no, to be fair, yep.
He is fucking gigantic. I was like, holy shit. Like, if you're a diminutive winger trying to round this cut, it's like, what the fuck is that? Did they actually have they hired an actual roundabout? The fuck out of here.
And they actually only paid 200K for him at the time.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's a markup, isn't it?
What's that? 10K per square meter he takes up?
200K for an 18 for he was completion was delayed pending FIFA approval due to the player being under 18 years of age. He was under 18, bought for 200K by Stoke City.
Yeah, and pay. And,
is that because they didn't believe he was under 18? They're like, the fuck out of here. Hang on, now you're gonna have to send us his birth cert. The fuck out of here with this shit. The fucking size of him. The hell are you feeding this guy?
Yeah, he was a Stoke well in the Premier League at the time. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, like overall, actually, this is actually a very decent window for Leicester because they needed a new defender and they need an actual left back that wasn't Luke Thomas played out of position, and they got them. And then Tete now a decent winger, really good winger by the way, Tete in from Shakhtar Donetsk. If there wasn't like horrible things happening in the Ukrainian league, like you can imagine they'd be cashing in massively on him. But yeah, like this is actually a genuinely low-key good window for Leicester. They kind of needed signings like this in the summer.
It's an A from me for Leicester.
Yeah, I'm actually agreeing with A on that one because it's exactly what they needed.
I'm going slightly lower. I'm going like B-, kind of C+. I think they've treaded a bit water. They've just plugged some gaps. I think the main thing for them was actually not really signing. I mean, like, I know they had the fucking worst defense in the league, or one of the worst defenses in the league. But I think their main thing was stopping people from getting Maddison out from under them.
Yeah, that's a big thing too as well.
Didn't they were hard in for Harrison from Leeds as well, weren't they?
Yeah, Jack Harrison,
they were trying to get Jack Harrison, but that didn't work out. So
yeah, so like, all right, I'm fine. They've plugged their defense with literally a person who in every single news column I've read about him has never been described as anything other than giant Australian defender. Like everything, like the Guardian described him as that. Sky Sports, every other fucking column. He's never been described as anything other than giant Australian defender.
For short.
So fine, like that's great, but I still think they're just treading a wee bit of water. I'd see this again. This is just like we don't want to get dragged into a relegation fight, so we're just going to plug some gaps and tread a bit of water until the summer. And that's why, and I think they've done that well. So that's why they'll get a B- for me.
Yep. Well, actually, that all balances out to be a B then for Leicester in that case. So then we move on then just down the road to Leeds. So the few departures. Jesse Marsh, yeehaw. So again, a few kind of youngsters and experienced players going out. Matthias Klitsch gone to the MLS to play for DC United. Wayne Rooney's DC United, I should say. Cody Drame and Joe Gelhardt, some of their young talents, are going to Luton and Sunderland respectively. And Diego Llorente joining Mourinho's cause at AS Roma on loan for the rest of the season. But the players they brought in, lads. So we have their marquee signing was Jorginho Rutter from Hoffenheim for just shy of £25 million. Then you got Max Vober coming in from Salzburg, who immediately made an impression on his debut, and again from Salzburg, another Jesse March recruitment. And then on deadline day, Weston McKennie from Juventus on a season-long loan. I say a season-long loan. If anything, I think he's just been like salvaged from the sinking Juventus ship.
Oh yeah, that's one of those loans that is really a permanent deal. If you get me.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
No, this whole thing for Leeds is a straight up A for me. I think El Marshy. I think Leeds' days of being called Ted Lasso FC are kind of done. This is brilliant. I loved everything about their season. I was really impressed. They did really, really well. Not too sure about Marsh trying to assemble the entire US men's national team midfield, but good on him.
It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot.
It's worth a shot. You know, it works well.
Spending 35.5 million on someone again who's completely unproven in Jorginho Rutter. I don't know. He's still only 20. He's a 20-year-old. It's a lot of money, and I think it's a big risk for Marsh. I genuinely think it's a big risk bringing him in.
But it's a risk. It's calculated risks, and that's what I like about it. Yeah, I think that's why I'm like, Wober can, he's not just a centre, he can also fill in that left
Centre
back.
and right back as well, yeah.
Is it left back or right back?
Actually, I think you're right. It could be left back because you have.
It's a left back. McKennie is a bit of a proven thing, so he'll do really well in centre mid. And Rutter, I think Marsh is a good coach. I think he's going to get a good bit out of Rutter. Could be wrong now, but it's calculated, and you get somebody else as well. And you say,
Montero, Diogo Montero from Sevilla.
Yeah, Montero. Yes. Yeah. So I liked it. They got rid of a lot of dead wood in that team. Lorente, Klitsch. I know Lorente is only a loan, you said, and Gelhardt as well, another loan. But I don't think we'll be seeing them ever again.
I think Gelhardt is definitely one of their prospects. I think we want to get him game time at least. So that is it's something for him anyway. But Gelhardt would definitely.
I like it. They've strengthened every single bit of the team. They're going to get Bamford back, hat-trick Bamford. So like I like what they've done. It's calculated risks, combined with some proven talent, that he knows. And I like what they've done. They've gone about it really well. If it fails, it won't be because they've spent like fucking idiots or they haven't thought about it. I like it.
There was a strategy there. In fairness, like definitely using Marsh's connections as a coach, especially the Red Bull system, especially the US program as well. Like they're using
use your connections, absolutely. But no, I like it. I go with A minus. Like you said, Rutter is a bit of an unknown. Grand. Take it down a notch for that. But I think he's not going to rip up trees. I think I read a stat somewhere that like 34% of all forwards signed in the January transfer window don't score a goal that season.
Yeah,
like 34%, 1 in 3 forwards signed in January
it's very much an XG month, isn't it?
The rest of the season without scoring a goal. It's crazy. But I like it. Again, for Leeds, it's all about staying up. It's all about bolstering their team, and I think he's done it really well. Fair play.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, what would you give as your on your view there? Obviously, you're a bit negative on
the B minus, C plus.
Okay, so again, that averages out to be a B plus then for Leeds. So we move on then to West Ham. Again, relatively quiet from them. Departures for Craig Dawson, who again is completing his infinity symbol gauntlet of playing for our teams with W in the name. So he's had West Brom, he's at Watford, he has a West Ham, and now he's at Wolves. So again, last stop now is Wycombe Wanderers, which obviously counts for double.
Woking. And then Woking,
of course, where he has to be coached by Martin fucking Tyler of all people. So then you have other departures in Darren Randolph going to Bournemouth to basically be backup to the backup to the backup. And you got Conor Coventry, another Irish international, going to Rotherham on loan. But the rivals, we mentioned Danny Ings already, who already has made an impression, doing a Mo Sislak, if you will, on his debut for West Ham. And then Luis Zhao arriving in from Sao Paulo, bringing a bit of youth and moxie into the young team as well. Like ultimately, I don't think West Ham needed to do anything really. I don't think they were in any danger of losing players in January. Summer's going to be more interesting for them, especially with Declan Rice and co. They just needed to kind of get their shit together this season, really, wasn't they? Just to get playing and get back up.
I don't think they could do a tremendous amount in January, given that they absolutely spunked a flipping great budget of cash in the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
But the team's gone downhill a wee bit. I think, with regards to West Ham, I think the European competition has papered over the cracks of a squad that Moyes is no longer able to get the most out of.
Yeah.
And it's starting to show.
Agreed.
I think this is bad for West Ham. Dawson was popular. Maybe not the best defender,
but he was reliable. He was reliable.
Exactly. Not everybody's cup of tea, but fuck it. He worked for them. Letting him go to Wolves, I think, is
brave.
Yeah, brave. But they brought in...
That's a yes, Prime Minister. That's very brave. That's a very brave policy there, Mister.
They brought in...
really? Oh fuck.
Now, Luis Zhao is a 6'2" centre back, but he's only had 14 games of senior football at Sao Paulo.
Yeah,
so he's only literally just into senior football. 14 games for Sao Paulo last year.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
That's
these
it, you
like
know,
teams are trying the same idea. They're trying to find a player they can sell on in a couple of years' time for big money. They all have the same strategy, and as we'll find out, like some of these lads like actively do sink instead of swim.
Well, see, I think with Moyes, I think it's like this stinks of short termism, and that he's desperate to see. Like we had El Saki go against Everton, which thankfully he won 2-0. Thanks purely down to the fact that he's Jared Bowen, which by the way they won't have for much longer. He's going to get poached. They're going to get poached in the summer.
I think so too. Yeah.
There's a lot of clubs that are hoping West Ham will go down. I don't think they'll go down. But there's a lot of clubs that will hope that they go down so they can get their really very saleable assets for dirt cheap and get them off them with no quabbles because they'll be in the championship, and who wants to fucking play in the championship? They're losing Rice in the summer, definitely. He's actively told the club, you will not activate that extra year in my contract. You will sell me in the summer, or if you don't, I will leave for nothing. So if you want to make some money out of me, sell me to a Champions League club. That's it. And so he's gone. He's gone in the summer. He's gone. But fuck, like, this is terrible for myself. I think they hamstrung themselves in the summer and they're still trying to ride that bet out, if you understand. The little hedge bet with Danny Ings has fucking failed because he did his knee in his debut. That's bad. Getting rid of Dawson is borderline dereliction of duty. Don't understand why. Randolph, okay, then fine. But like fucking hell, and obviously we've already discussed them getting rid of Harrison Ashby. So they're losing youth as well. They're losing the ones for the future, and that's sinking ship territory. You know, when even your younger players are going, "I'm get the fuck out of here." I don't see a future here, which you can't blame them for. But no, this is enough for me. They've totally failed. Funds were limited.
Agreed. Yep.
Funds were limited, yeah, because again they spunked it in summer, but this is terrible. Like the one signing they made, fucked it. And the signings out have only weakened the team. This can only be an F. That's the way I see it anyway.
Would you be inclined with that, Dave, as well? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no argument for me there. No argument for me.
And then for West Ham. So, move on then to the other W. Indeed, where in the world is Craig Dawson? Well, he's at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
He's at Wolverhampton. Yeah.
He is. So
Wolves have
been busy.
Oh, they've had an excellent transfer window, in my opinion. There's only one question mark for me out of all of the players they brought in, and that's Mario Lemina, because he had a bit of a checker pass with clubs in the past. Even in the Premier League, he was it Bournemouth?
He was at Bournemouth and Southampton.
Yeah, first, so he kind of held Southampton hostage with regard to a transfer, and there was a bit of, he wasn't playing to his fullest. He was more in it for the money and flashing about, and so now whether or not he's matured himself over the past few years, I don't know. But Lemina's the only question mark. Pablo Sarabia, the pure
bargain.
Desperation, bargain, but a desperation for him. You know, he didn't even feature. He featured when they were knocked out, missed a penalty in the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, I think his career, he never hit the grade at PSG. So he was loaned out as well to Sporting, and I think, you know, he's coming to Wolves to try and reignite his career. You know, he's 30 years of age, not a young lad by any stretch, you know, by any means, but he had success at Sevilla. PSG brought him in. You know, PSG seen him as kind of maybe, okay, you know, you're a reliable midfielder who can play against the weaker teams in the league and shore up, you know, rest players to Champions League and that. Never really did anything, shipped out on loan. So I think after his disappointing kind of World Cup, I think for his own self-esteem and his own confidence, is probably a brilliant move for him, because Wolves need all they can get so he can hit the ground running. And Joao Gomez from Flamengo, 15 million. There seems to be a lot of clubs that are cherry picking these little Brazilian lads. Or basically scouting the Brazilian league. You know, we've had Sao Paulo, we've had Vasco da Gama, now we've got Flamengo.
What I call the Gabriel Martinelli effect.
Yeah, pretty much. It's been like that for years. Don't get me wrong. We've had amazing players from the Brazilian. He was a 15-year-old. What's his name? There's a 15-year-old who plays with Palmeiras, who apparently Real Madrid have shorn up for something like 70 million.
Endrick,
right?
Endrick, yeah.
Now, he's a 15-year-old at Palmeiras, so he's still a kid, and Real Madrid are paying through their nose for him. Similar to what they did for Odegaard. So it seems to be that the Brazilian league is Premier League clubs are taking notice now, because that's how many clubs now have just cherry picked a little 20-year-old or a
that comes from the
19-year-old.
point that the point system that they did post Brexit.
The work permits have been changed.
So the work permits are now all points based. But what they've done is that they've given the Brazilian the Primavera League, is that what it's called?
Serie A, the Primavera Serie A.
Yeah, and they've given that kind of almost equal footing. So winning the Copa Libertadores is on par with being in a team that has won the Champions League.
Yeah.
So I was like,
that goes the same for the Argentine league as well, and most of South America. That's why Brighton doing so. They've been scouting like them non-stop.
Yeah.
So
because the points that they get, I'm like, you're in a Copa Libertadores winning team, your work permits set. That's it. You're done. You're in. You're gravy.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, but I fully agree with Dave here. No arguments. I think I like everything Wolves have done. They needed to strengthen in very key positions, give that team a new spine, and they've gone and done that. Again, let's see if Lamina can play nice.
Yeah.
Because they signed him from Nice. But I guess I'm putting out my A-grade material for you bums. Kuna on loan from Atletico. I like the look of that. I think
that could be good.
And with
that
the
could be
obligation
good
to buy as well. There's 45 million in the summer, like so. Like that again,
it's a pretty average transfer now, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
it's average.
I like it. I like all of it.
But again, another young Brazilian, you know.
Yeah. So I like what they've done. They've signed the right players in the right positions. Maybe not exactly the right time, but fuck it. Now they need to do it.
Yeah.
that's just it. So if Lopetegui can't do it, he can't say he wasn't given the right tools.
Yeah,
he was definitely given the money. Now that is for sure. He was given money.
It was focused. It was good focused money. So I say he had a lot of it, big hand in these signings. They do seem like they're coach driven, which is a good thing. So yeah, but like I said, he needs to make these songbirds sing. Otherwise, then they're going to get fucked.
Yeah.
And so we seem to be steering towards an A or B then for Wolves. I'm going by that interpretation there.
I go B plus. Yeah, B plus, just shy of an A because as you said,
go A minus for me.
Yeah. It depends. It depends on there's some unknown quantities in there, but I reckon they'll be good. This should be good.
I would agree with Neil there and go for a B plus because again, as you guys said there, we've been down this road before with Wolves where they get these kind of like forwards in that are supposed to be very, very good and they just don't perform. Like they just let go of Guedes to Benfica and Fabio Silva. Some of these lads just don't work out.
They got rid of Guedes. He's back at Benfica, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is back at Benfica, yeah.
So but the thing is, Wolves desperately need goals. I think that's what Kuna has been brought in. And if he can score, they're sorted.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving on then to Bournemouth, who, as we have heard, they've been taken over recently, and they have spent actual money. So a lot of loans out to some of their kind of like their squad players like Mercondes and Lowe and Kilkenny. They're all gone. Ben Pearson, they're all gone on loans to the Championship and Sunder. But the players he brought in though are a few hot shots. Alex Semenyo, who recently declared for Ghana, who's in the World Cup from Bristol. Then you have Dennis Ouattara from FC Lorient for about 20 million, winger. It's a very exciting African winger, Dango Ouattara, I beg your pardon. And then we have finally...
How long until the Dango Unchained memes start?
I'm amazed they haven't already. I'm actually amazed they haven't already.
Yeah. Then you have from Dynamo Kiev, Ilya Zabarny then for coming in as their centre back then. For 20 million as well. Then he also got two loans in, namely Matthias Vigna from Roma, left back. So again, that ticks that box. We mentioned Aaron Randolph, and they also got Hamed Traore coming in from Sassuolo on a loan. So again, they've had to give themselves tools to get out of this relegation scrap. But Bournemouth have like still been by clearly the worst squad in the league. So the real question is, do you see this team, like, do these players actually improve that team enough? Or is this a case of get these players in, sell them on if you get relegated kind of question?
It all depends on how the other teams around them perform. It all depends on whether Southampton have the balls to get back up there. All depends on well, let's face it, Everton are going down anyway. But you know, it all depends on how the teams around them perform. Because if David Moyes slips up with West Ham, you know, it could be Bournemouth's grace that these players actually do the job for them. So it's all kind of hanging. They've made the right choices. They've done good. They've done good with their signings, but it all depends now on how everyone else does with the same idea.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. All they need is for these signings not to make the team worse. And also finding the best combination of what the hell they've signed. You know, they've signed quite a lot of players in different positions, and just need to figure out right who's best with whom. Maybe January isn't the best time to do that, but they've no other choice. They do it or they go down.
As you mentioned, they needed to do something, like, because they were going down regardless for me. Like, so at least
this is
their chance.
This is their last chance at the OK Corral, and but they've given themselves, again, I agree with Dave again. They've given themselves the best tools to, well, not the best tools, but they've given themselves some good tools to get themselves to dig themselves out of this. But they are still in the position where they need other teams around them to fuck up.
Yeah.
Which is always a possibility when
oh my god, yes, holy shit. When
they get into April and you really get the pressure on these players, you know, it's, you know, Southampton have signed well, Bournemouth have signed well, but now these players have to do a job. So not everyone can stay up, not, you know, everyone's three teams have to go down.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's as much a gamble as it is a good bit of business.
Yeah, well, I think we'll really see this come to fruition in April when the pressure cooker really fucking gets. That's when the lid in the pressure cooker gets screwed on, and you're like,
that's what I like to call the Gus Poyet month.
Very true. It's a good comparison, to be fair.
Can you save your club in one fell swoop like Poyet did with Sunderland?
Very much so. Yeah. So are we saying perhaps a B- for Bournemouth in that case? Because that's what I was going
I'll go with a B- because again, all of this is improving, bar maybe Randolph, who's solid enough, and even then he's going in as a backup to a backup. So we'll see. Choice, again, this is one of those ones where if it helps them stay up, it's great. If they go down, then it was shit.
Yes.
If they go down, they've only spent 50 million, so that's only like 1/5 of Chelsea spending in this window.
1/10. That's fair, Dave. It's actually 1/6. I did the maths there.
Yeah, there you go.
1/6. That's ludicrous. So then we move on to Everton. Oh my fucking god!
Yeah.
So no arrivals whatsoever.
None. Zero. Zilch. Fucking nada.
Holy shit!
Elsewhere, they sold their third choice goalkeeper to the MLS. Salomon Rondon's gone to play for River Plate.
Salomon Rondon, I didn't even know still play for Everton.
Well,
he doesn't know anymore. He doesn't anymore.
No. And Anthony Gordon, as we mentioned already, gone to Newcastle. All the while, Sean Dyche is after going into the team, like, and hadn't been given even a sniff of a chance of signing players for himself. Again, the free market is there. They could probably.
He's used to that, though. He's used to that. He's fine.
But that's the baffling thing. Like, it is just down to him now to try and get this team out of relegation, because he's been given absolutely nothing in terms of recruitment.
Well, absolutely nothing. He's given a nice stack of 40 million quid that he can't do fucking anything with.
But that's going straight to
maybe he can feel that. Maybe he can feel that. Maybe feel the big stack of fucking paper as a fucking right winger. Or put it up front as a striker.
Might be a bit quicker than Anthony Gordon, fair.
Yeah, a lot more attractive as well, because that guy is fucking ugly. This is below an F.
I'm gonna go with an E for exempt, because they don't even qualify for actually getting a grade in this.
An NG, no grade.
DNF did not finish.
Yeah, did not finish. Yeah, ran the opposite way out of the gates, and then was shot.
They're disqualified. They're disqualified.
Yeah,
that's what
did not
absolutely.
Reach the
They're the
in time.
equivalent of the horse that doesn't clear the first hurdle, breaks its leg, and they get shot in the teeth.
No, I wouldn't even go that far. I'd go with they're as good as a horse out of fucking a Halton site. No disrespect to the traveling community, but They're as good as a horse just picked off the street at the minute. That's how much of a race they're running in the Premier League.
This is insane. Like, I can't believe, like, if they'd sold nobody, and then you're like, well, we sold nobody, so you're not buying in anybody, then this might be only scarcely unbelievable. But the fact that they raked in 40 million for a player who'd scored all of 3 goals and didn't even rack up an assist, and then did nothing with that 40 million, it's fucking dereliction of duty.
But I think we mentioned this when they sold Richarlison. I do suspect Everton were forced to sell Gordon because Richarlison, they sold him for a flat 45 million, and we know that was the exact amount of money they needed to clear FFP. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same again, where they had to had to make 40 million worth of selling.
Come on, man! I gotta make the sale. You gotta give me 45.
The fucking old Gill in the Premier League, like
just
sell from Everton, it'll rust up you just like that.
Come on, man! We need 45 million. Just give me the 45 million, man.
You know, Mashiri's onto his 8th fucking manager, and the club is basically in a civil war.
Yeah, essentially,
yeah.
But it's with everything else. Like it's
all they can hope is that like Dyche comes in and can shout at his players enough to keep them up. But
that's what they have.
Like again, the next game is against us. The next game's against Arsenal. We're gonna pound them.
Like Calvert-Lewin and the rest of the squad are gonna leave in the summer anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Everton are in line for a apocalyptic Sunderland style drop.
Yeah, that's the scary part. Is that like when they are gone. They're gone.
They're gone.
And you won't see them back for a long, long time. And like genuinely, like the only person I think can get them promoted would be Dyche.
The home store and more of fucking the Premier League. When it's gone, it's gone.
No. It's even worse than that. Like when the Everton sale is ended, it's ended.
Yeah, it's ended.
It's like the DFS sale that's finally gone.
Yeah, that's it. They're gonna go down. They don't even have that many saleable assets, but they're still gonna get pillaged a wee bit.
Oh yeah. It's just your new. You could just imagine your opening day in your brand new stadium. You're open to fucking Rotherham,
Plymouth, Everton versus Plymouth,
fucking Preston North End. Bradley Dock. Fucking hell.
Yeah, but that just shows you the folly. And again, it's going to be like if it is the case that Everton do get relegated, like it is going to be because they clearly just had nothing else. It just the cycle of unsustainability just eventually caught up to them. And again, I feel sorry for Dyche, but I think he's the one manager who could actively try and make some of that work. But it'll be the same thing again, clearly in the summer. They're hoping that he'll just do these things on a shoestring budget and go from there. But like,
do you think that was part of the interview? Could you? I think it was. Funds? I've done it for 12 fucking years. I can do it again.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
sort of. Like, yeah, the big fat Sam kind of interview is like, pay me the money, we'll keep him up. Make sure there's a nice fat bonus in that contract when they keep you up. And if not, you go down, I'm out of here. And I'll leave
You don't have to pay me severance. See you later, son.
I'll leave arse prints in your nice new door. And I reckon that's probably it. Like,
don't get me wrong, it'd be great to see Everton play Blackburn and Stoke again.
That's footballing heritage, Dave. That's what that is. That's going back to the 2000s Premiership. That is
going back to my roots.
There's I'm giving you the score lines. That's culture.
That's it.
But it's not all negative.
What I love, my final point about Everton here is that that their squad planning is so bad when they know that Sean Dyche is a 4-4-2 man and he literally only has 2 strikers in Calvert-Lewin and Maupay. He literally do not have anyone else.
Maupay's even Maupay is fucking horrendous.
Oh, yeah, he's garbage.
So fucking bad.
He's so bad.
I mean, Calvert-Lewin's a little fucking. I mean, don't get me wrong, Calvert-Lewin's a girl's blouse, but like fucking Maupay's terrible.
Yeah, he's a dreadful player. Again, Brighton would delight to get rid of him. It's like, thank you for that free money. Oh, cheers.
Absolutely.
That was quite literally money for old rope.
Yeah, exactly. Very much so. He's not even that old. That's a mad part. Just plays old. Anyway, so we move on then to our last case then, which is Southampton, who again are actually one of the bigger spenders in January.
Oh, the money.
Oh, 1/5 of Chelsea, as you've done the maths here. So they've gone 5 players. Well, technically 6 if you count Baddenberg coming back from Aston Villa.
Is that like the new fucking Stan SI unit of measurement for transfer windows at Chelsea?
Going by a January window, yes. A January window is
imagine that. I've spent the Chelsea fifth.
Yeah,
Jeez,
0.2 of a Chelsea. Oh, bollocks.
Oh, do you know what? I'm waiting. I guarantee Chelsea will be the first team to buy a player in Bitcoin.
Oh, man.
I think Crawley Town have done that because Crawley Town are actually owned by crypto wankers.
Okay, sorry. First relevant club to.
Okay, fair. Fair point, well made. So yeah, we'll run
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin will never crash.
Yes. So yeah, Southampton started off their dealings with getting James Bree from Luton on a nominal fee. He was a Nathan Jones favourite, so naturally he was going to bring him to Southampton with him. Then we have Miroslav Orsic from Dinamo Zagreb. Low-key good signing there, actually. Left winger from Zagreb, who like pretty much seemed to score against Chelsea every single time they fucking played him in the Champions League. Then we have Carlos Alcaraz coming in, a young central midfielder from Racing Club Alvalanda.
He could be good. Yep.
Low-key, quite good signing there, to be fair. Then we have Paul Owenachu coming in from Genk. Again, a fairly experienced striker in that sense. Tailored, I believe, or touted for scoring the worst hat-trick in football history.
What a hat-trick.
But it was a hat-trick, and that's the critical thing, right?
He's another fucking monster.
Yeah, he is.
He's going to score a hat-trick with his left ball.
He is. He has done already. Like, and then their marquee signing then was Kamaldeen Sulemana coming in from Rennes, I believe, for 25 million euros. So they spent a lot of money, and they were on positions that they absolutely needed. Again, they have the long boy in Onachu, who's 6'7", I think, or 6'8", I think. So he's at least 2 meters long anyway.
Get that Lukaku in the starting lineup.
Yeah, again, big target man, absolutely. You got With coming in from Morsic and Sulemana. You got right back in Bree, and then the midfield destroyer to basically replace Romeu in Alcaraz. Good business from Southampton, but the question is, lads, is it enough?
I'm going to go with the Bournemouth. I'm going to go with the Bournemouth philosophy with what I said earlier. They brought in what they need, but it's just will it happen? Will it happen for them? Don't know. Don't know. They've brought in players who they know they can do a job on paper, but whether or not they can stand up to the pace and the physicality of the league, who knows?
Yeah, that's up front. Like, so the wingers and the forwards they've done, it's like they're unproven Premier League wise. The recalling for Benderek from Villa, who was on loan there, that should shore them up somewhat defensively. He's proven at the Premier League level.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like this is like last roll of the die shit here. Like, and they need
we need to survive. We're gonna be in serious trouble if we get relegated.
Yeah,
we just need to go and fucking all hell for leather. Now, having Onuachu in there, giving us height and stuff, I don't think they bought him purely for the attack minded. I think having him in there from a defensive point of view is going to pay dividends as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You're defending set pieces.
Good luck getting a corner over that.
If you're playing for set pieces, he's going to get to every ball first. Given if he can jump, we don't know if he can jump yet. But like if he's a good head of the ball, they bought him for not only for the forward thinking, strategies, but they bought him purely from a defensive point of view that will hopefully stop them leaking goals. And hopefully get them, when it's 0-0 and you want that point, and he's, you've literally receded every player into your box. If you've got him in there, he will make a difference. Yeah,
that's true. So how would you rate then the window for Southampton? If you were to give it a grade, is it enough to, as I said, make them survive? Because
C+.
Yeah.
I'll give it C+.
I go with that. I reckon.
Yeah.
They've gone low key for good signings.
Yeah. They've spent well. They've been frugal.
They've been frugal. They've spent, but they've been frugal with it. They've not been stupid, but they have spent because they know Oh, this is also the last season of the parachute payments, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, exactly. So they're like, we
How
don't
many
want to go
clubs is he
down.
getting fucking paid from now? I don't know what
Exactly.
the fuck's
Yeah,
going
we're
on.
like, we do not want to go down. Like they're just going, like, yeah, this is the last roll of the die, and they need some sixes, baby.
Yeah, indeed, and we'll find out. No doubt when the season kicks off again this weekend, whether they do get sixes or not. But what we can say for sure, regardless of what happens with Southampton, is that Everton are almost certainly fucked.
Oh no, they're definitely fucked. They're absolutely finished.
They're gone. They're finished.
Like if there's actually one advice you can take from this mammoth episode of this podcast, that Everton are fucked. And
that should be the title. That should be the title. You know.
Yeah.
We've titled. Though we have to stop titling our podcast episodes with Everton are fucked because we like had like 2 or 3 in a row that were like Everton.
Okay, so
we
part
literally
three,
had like a chain of like, why is Everton? Why is still Everton? Why is Everton still
Why
here?
is Everton? Why is
all right,
Everton?
we need to talk about Everton.
was
That's
Everton.
the newest one.
That's true.
But
But yes.
no, the Premier League kicks back off this Friday with Chelsea v Fulham.
Volleyball.
As they attempt to field all 40 of their players.
Bully.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Bully.
So yeah, we'll see that. And then first game on Saturday is Everton at Arsenal at Everton. So yeah, looking forward to that.
I want my bully back.
And then you've got Wolves on at 3 o'clock.
Bully. Yeah, Wolves. I'm just intrigued.
I'm actually really enjoying the sing along here. It's just like bully.
Bully back.
And then the weekend ends a nice bookend. Because it starts off with Chelsea v Fulham and it ends at 4:30 on Sunday with Spurs v Man City.
I can see that being 2-0 Man City only because Spurs don't really score.
We scored 2 on them the last time.
Yeah, and they ended 4-2.
I know they went goals in the second half, but they still scored those 2.
Oh wait, we haven't trained for this. How do we hold the lead? We've not trained for this possibility.
It led to some absolutely hilarious fan reaction videos. Like I have been feasting on YouTube on fan reaction videos to that one. Loving it. But yeah, but we're really kicking into like some proper fucking amount of football because now they're kicking off the midweek games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy because like there's one on next Wednesday now. Man U play Leeds, and then there's fucking hell. Like so, it's time to get serious about this shit, boys.
Oh yeah, the football's happening, and it's happening all the time.
Yeah, and then the Wednesday after that is the Arsenal Man City game in the league, the first league meeting. 15th, baby.
The title decider.
So many people are saying that. I was like, shit.
It is, man.
And it's ridiculous because 3 days later we have to play Villa.
Yep.
You know
Emery doing the honourable thing and landing on a sword, going, "Go, your people need you."
That's it.
Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening.
We play City Wednesday. We play City on Wednesday, and we're the first game on the Saturday. Like with a 12:30.
More
we're not
congestion
even like
than the M50, man. Tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
Anyway,
there we go.
Good night, everybody.
Till the next time.
When football comes back.
Next time.
On Liverpool.
Bully.
Bully.
Bully.